Go ahead.
All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is Thursday, October 3rd, 2020. It's 9:22 a.m. The panel this morning, we are at Raymond Ward Correctional Center in Royal Parish. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel this morning, seated to my left is Mr. Pete Freeman, to my right is Ms. Jerry Ledoux. We have staff manning the technology at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Would our staff at headquarters introduce yourself for the record, please?
Jasmine Thompson, Sherelle Daybreak, Chiquita McCray.
All right, thank y'all for accommodating us this morning from afar. We are, as I said, we're at Raymond LaGuardia Correctional Center. I'd like to ask the warden and his staff to introduce himself for the record.
Good morning. Marcus Myers, warden.
Morning, Stephen Bordelon, Deputy Warden.
Raven Heath, classification. Melissa Joshua Records.
Wayne Mellis, Deputy Warden.
And we also have some of the board staff here at the prison. I'd like for them to introduce themselves for the record.
Woody Trosclair, Sheree Owens.
And Francis Adams.
Okay, before we get started this morning, I'd like to acknowledge a special guest we have here this morning, Senator Heather Cloud. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. We are in her Senate District 28, and we're glad to have you here and observe the process. Thank you for coming. Our first case this morning is Mr. Haynes. Good morning, Mr. Haynes. Would you introduce yourself, sir? Tell us your name and your DOC.
487-887.
All right, Mr. Haynes, and for those of you who are here, let me explain the process. I'm going to read some identifying information into the record. I'll ask you to confirm that information. Then we'll give you a moment to tell us why you believe we should vote favorably for you today. And then we will recognize the guests who are here and those who have indicated they'd like to speak. Then we'll begin our interview process. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman, so he'll take the lead on the interview. So you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Haynes, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 40-year sentence. You were sentenced in Rapides Parish in December of 2004 for manslaughter. Your parole eligibility date has passed. It's October 12th, 2024. Your good time date is March 15th of 2030. Some information correct? All right, sir. So take a moment and tell us, why are you here and why do you think we should vote favorably?
First, I need to point out, I had meningitis severe years ago. I have short-term memory loss, a little bit of problem speaking and hearing loss. So if I don't talk well. Okay. 22 years ago, I took the life of Robert Noble Jr. in a split-second decision. It's caused a lifetime of pain for a lot of people. The pain of his mom, dad, his sister, his brother, his children, his family, and my family. For the rest of I'm now 68-year-old handicapped man. I have 20 years of books, classes, prison experience that have taught me patience, tolerance, and forgiveness. One of my trigger points, I know anger is a choice I avoid. Living what I've learned, it would be natural because I am what I learned. The remorse I feel is it's with me every day. It surfaces in reading books, watching TV, even in my nightmares. I'm deeply sorry. I deeply regret my whole decision. I humbly ask for forgiveness. Taking educational programs that have opened my eyes and heart to the impact of my behavior and the importance of empathy. And I've taken victim awareness, victim impact, and now I've taken anger management and also cage rage. I've read books which include statements from victims' feelings. The quote that has stuck with me is the quote, "The parents' faces revealed the true meaning of love to me in that instant. We humans can survive anything except a parent's worst nightmare." And parents' unconditional love is the most important thing in the world. I'm responsible for my thought with that. That ruined so many lives. There's no excuse. Senseless, unnecessary. And I regret with all my heart. The emotional and psychological damage I caused, I understand. And true remorse is not just feeling sorry, it's about being dedicated to becoming a better person. One who has respect, kindness, accountability, and will never inflict harm on anyone ever again. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to express my deep remorse. As you know, I'm prohibited by law to ever contact the victims in any way.
Gordon, what can you tell us about Mr. Haynes?
Well, Mr. Nasa, as Michael said, he's taken some good classes. He's currently enrolled in our victim impact program. I think he's about 3 weeks into it. So he got several weeks left. And so obviously I recommend that no matter what the board's decision today, he complete that class. I do note that he is a father of a 28-year-old daughter. He's been incarcerated for most of her life. So I would recommend that he would take some parenting classes, to help him with that transition if and when the time comes. His conduct record is good. He is, in all these years, he's only had 5 disciplinary reports, which is commendable. Hasn't had one in 8 years. And the one thing that I do note about that is, looking through it, no fights, no acts of violence. So that's a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you. We have joining us by Zoom, Carrie Myers with the Parole Project, who'd like to say a few words. Mr. Myers?
Thank you, and good morning. Carrie Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know that should the board grant Mr. Haynes parole today, we will accept him into our program. We will make sure he is connected to all his medical, respond to all his medical needs, connected to his medical services. We'll make sure he's connected to any benefits. We understand that he is Social Security eligible, and he's also has a pension. We'll make sure he's connected to all, so he's going to be financially secure. We'll assist him. We'll provide him transitional housing for as long as it takes. Mr. Haynes has a desire to go out of state eventually, but if that doesn't work, we're prepared to provide him long-term housing until he can become self-sufficient, and we'll find him permanent housing here. We'll support him through case management, help him through the transition, and we just ask this board to consider all those factors and grant his parole today.
Thank you. And also on Zoom is a friend, Kelly Gaspard.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. I've known Mike Haynes for 25 years. His stepfather and his mother, Peggy, moved across the street from my mom. And so I've known him for a long time. When Miss Peggy passed away from Alzheimer's 8 years ago, my mom and I stepped in, and we've been financially supporting him ever since. That support would continue as well. And if he would decide to come to Texas, I'm the manager of a distribution and a manufacturing company, and I can also give him employment. But the financial support will remain, emotional support, everything. I know he's extremely remorseful. We correspond and speak on the phone, and, Mike's a good man, and he served a lot of time. But, we are here to support him. My mom is 78, so she's not on the call. She lives in a retirement community. But we will continue to support Mike financially in any other way that he needs. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking to us this morning. Here with us, in the room with us is Mr. Mosby. Mr. Jeff Mosby.
Do you mind if I stand?
Sure, please.
I'm Jeff Mosby. I retired from 26 years in the military, 20 years of special operations. I'm used to dealing with violent people. Mike is not one of them. I've known him for 30 years. He's very remorseful for what he's done. I know that. He's not a violent person. He realizes he made a mistake. He wants to move on with his life. He's been punished, and I don't know his parents, but I'm familiar with him, and I hope that they can forgive.
Speak to.
I'm sorry. He's been punished plenty. And if the object is to punish him more, I guess you do what you're gonna do. If it's to rehabilitate him, he's rehabilitated. And I'll give you my word. If he steps out of line, I'll drag him back here myself. You won't have to worry about that. We'll keep him straight. He's got a lot of family and friends that are gonna look after him, take care of him. And I'm one of them, first and foremost. I was gone for 12 years overseas. After that, I didn't get a chance to support him much during all that right there. So I'm stepped up now. And I hope that you can support him with that. And I give you my word, I'll support the state of Louisiana in helping with the rest of it. And if he steps out of line, like I said, trust me, I'll drag him back up and forth.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service. Also, in support, not wishing to speak this morning, we have observing on Zoom, we have Amy Jackson, James Jackson, Casey Gunner, Robert Mellon, Michael Martin, Helen Becker, Sam Giovanetti. Here with us also in support is Gary Stagg and Micah Schrock. Thank y'all for being here. We also have here in opposition members of Mr. Neville's family who want to speak, and we'd like to hear from them. And I'll let you two decide who wants to go first. I realize both of you want to speak. This is your Robbie Neville.
Robert Neville. 20 years ago, I lost my son to unnecessary, awful killing. And I'm sure that all of you will agree that a parent should never have to bury their son, their child. Well, I not only, 20 years ago, I not only lost my son, I lost my wife as I knew her. She simply, it broke her heart. She'll never be the same. People told us all along that time will cure all. No one's left. We don't have that much time. She's gotten better over the years. At least she don't have to cry herself to sleep every night. Over the years, like I said, she has gotten better. But 2 months ago, we got a call that said that this man that had killed my son was gonna have the opportunity to get out on early release. Well, I don't agree with that. My wife don't agree with that. And my family don't agree with that. And the governor of Louisiana don't believe in that. Because, and I know y'all know way more about this than I do, but from what I gathered on the signing of the new laws in August, was that the governor was gonna put a stop to all of this early release, and he was going to make Louisiana hard on crime in the future. Well, I agree with that. You know, we could all benefit from that kind of thinking. I think that this man deserves to pay the price for what he did, as he was sentenced or judged by the jury, found guilty, and then he was sentenced to the maximum extent of the law. Because the judge stated that. You know, how can someone commit such a horrible crime and then expect to only half of the sentence? It's just not right. I just cannot believe it. I don't know how much the members that are gonna make the decision, I don't know how much that they had access to when it comes to the statement. My wife and I both made statements, and I'm hoping that you got those statements. And I'm hoping for one thing, that you read my wife's statements from the beginning to the end. Because that just says it all. And I'm also gonna ask whether or not you, as the member that's going to be deciding whether he gets, whether or not that you had access to the actual file, and did you look at things about what happened and all that? I hope you did, because you'll see it just the way the judge seen it. I'm gonna have to say, and I'm gonna hope that you understand what kept me awake and has kept me awake many nights. Now, this man was always wheeling around a high-powered pistol. It come out in a cloud. It come out with all the people that was there to witness what he had done before he killed my son. He would wheel and he would pull people off of the road with the pistol pointed out the window. This was in the crowd. And pull them over and try to make them do whatever he wanted them to do. I don't know what kind of situation he had going about pulling, but he was always putting his gun on somebody. Well, actually, and they call it road rage, but I'm going to tell you what he did. He shot my son in the middle of the chest with a high-powered pistol. And then he walked over, and my son was face down on the ground, and he put the pistol just like this, and he fired in his back 2 times. Now, you tell me a person that could do that to another human would deserve any kind of reduction in his, he has to pay for it. You know, a person, when they commit a crime or commit something, they have to pay. They don't get to get off halfway. They don't have to half pay. They need to pay their full sentence. And I ask you, no, I beg you to make this man serve his entire sentence, every minute of it, because believe me, that's what he deserves. I don't think at all that he deserves any kind of, he never, during the course of the trial, he never had any remorse, none. Now, I know that he just read the things, but anybody can write that stuff down because that's what he wants you to hear and wants you to know. But I speak from my heart. It's what I believe and it's what's right. I believe that he should serve every minute of his sentence. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir. Thanks for being here. Ms. Marion?
I'll go. My partner's been out of it. His man murdered my son. Oh, I've never been the same. It's impossible. And this was no spur of the moment decision for him. I don't know what happened because we weren't there, but they had some kind of dust up on the highway at an intersection. And he had several miles to go down before Robbie turned off. He had a choice. He had a choice to keep going, but yet he followed Robbie when he turned. And Robbie saw him and he turned into the store for marketplace, and he chose to follow him, jump out of his car and start beating him. Robbie's children were there. And he didn't have he was in a truck with just one single bench seat. The children were right there, and he was beating on him. And then Robbie, he grabbed Robbie's neck and put him in a chokehold. And Robbie knew his dad was trying to kill him because he had to scratch his arm to get him to pry his arm from around his neck. And then Robbie knew exactly what was happening. He knew his man was trying to kill him. And he knew he was going for his gun. And he did. And he tried to stop him. But he got his gun out from his car, shot him through his glass. He had his window rolled up and he shot him through the glass window. And his daughter was sitting right there. He had his daughter with him. He brought his daughter into that horrible situation. How do you in the right mind? And that's the whole thing. There is something wrong with him. Ever since he came to Louisiana, he's had something wrong with him. People could see it. He had no business carrying a gun. There was opportunities to remove his gun from him, but he had help from people that got him out of trouble because he waved the gun around. He even put it in a woman's mouth one time and threatened to pull the trigger. That wasn't in the trial, but it's in his record. It's in part of the record at the DA's office. Because these people were not called as witnesses because he didn't take the stand. That was a strategy. There is something wrong with this man, and I know if he's left to his own devices, if he's free and out of the confinement that he's in, under the watchful eye of people, and he knows that people are watching it, he's gonna behave. And the church ministry, I understand there's a church ministry, all of these things are for his benefit, and this is where he needs to be. He needs to stay away from us, away from everybody, because when he's triggered, he'll do it again, and I definitely don't want him anywhere near his children, Robin's children. We didn't tell them about this hearing because they're just starting out in their lives. Recently married. My granddaughter just had a baby 3 weeks ago. Our grandson, his wife been trying to get pregnant. They've been trying for a couple of years to get pregnant again. And I'm just gonna put this on them. I just couldn't.
We appreciate you being here on the company.
Please don't. Please. Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Haynes, would you answer Mr. Freeman's questions?
Okay, Mr. Haynes, good morning. Mr. Haynes, how old are you? How old are you? How old are
Oh, 68,
you? Okay, and how long have you been in prison on this charge?
1 year.
20 years. Did you bond out before you,
Yes.
okay, where were you working?
Where do I work?
Where were you working at that time?
I own business,
What business was that?
Silver's Fitness Center.
Okay. Next, you ever took steroid?
No.
Cause I mean, it sounds like you got a terrible, terrible temper, and I know that'll up your temper quick. What started all of this? I mean, why did you follow him into that parking lot? Did he owe you money? Did he, anything like that?
No, what started this was he ran me and my daughter off the road twice and blocked the intersection. I reported to the state police. I have my copy of my record here of that, and I was gonna file charges on him. They told me I couldn't identify the truck. I had to identify the person. So when he turned into the parking lot, I stayed back to the back of the parking lot. And to watch him from the distance get out of the truck so I could identify him. He didn't go to the store. He jumped out of the truck while it was still moving. And charged my car, and we got out and fought.
Okay, that's totally opposite of what the witnesses say.
Actually,
I'm just telling this, I mean, I'm talking right now, there was 5 or 6 witnesses, all of them say you blocked him in. You went to the truck, y'all got out, at first y'all were arguing, and then you punched him. And then y'all started fighting, he got a hold of a tire iron. And he hit you a couple times with the tire iron, you went to the car. And he was pushing in the car, and then you shot him through the window. Now, okay, even if that's the heat of the moment, what made you get out and shoot him twice again? What was going through your mind?
well, sir, you're quoting witnesses that came in a car caravan with a convict that was going to serve time. That's the witnesses that you're quoting the statement. There's other statements too. I hope y'all looked at the pictures and you read the statement.
We read my.
Okay,
I
the
looked
statement
at
you're quoting is the one from that caravan. They said.
I'm quoting the statements from the police report. Okay,
There was 2 police reports that I knew of. That the testimony was that there's no.
okay, well, you tell me what happened. Y'all got to argument, you went over there.
There's no possible way bullet reject would happen. Stone over him and shot him. That's what the expert said at the trial. And it's not what happened. That's what that caravan said. There was 3 vehicle caravan, and that's the ones and that's the horrible stuff that they said. that happened, and I'm sorry, and I wish to God they had not said the things, but that's not what was done to Mr. Neville. You know, that's not what was done. My guilt is, I fired the gun at a point where he could no longer hit me. And I did that out of vengeance, anger, and fear. It was a cowardly act. I totally regret it, all of my heart. I was not an executioner, but I was totally wrong when I pulled the trigger, because he couldn't hit me no more, and I did it out of vengeance and anger. That, sir, is what I'm guilty of, and it's a horrible thing, and I'm sorry. That's my guilt, and it is guilt, and it is manslaughter.
Okay, all right, let me move on to some other questions. Okay, you took a lot of classes. What class have you learned the most from?
Well, I learned the most from 100 hours, and that's because it covered everything. And it got me interested in victim awareness. It got me interested in anger management, and all those things was the beginning of learning what was going on and all.
Yeah, I saw you took a lot of classes late, so that one opened your eyes. That's what
Yeah,
opened your eyes.
you know, when you come to the realization of what that split second decision I done, what it's done, it's hard to live with, you know?
Yes, sir. Okay, for the record, you have strong law enforcement opposition. Your friend and your daughter wrote us a letter, on your behalf, and we got some other letters. Of course, you have victim opposition. After, you go to, if you were to be released today and you go to the parole project, what are your plans after that?
Plan to go to, Missouri. The couple that was on there, they have a place for me, in Missouri. That's where I grew up, and I want to go there.
Okay, you
I
do, is he filed for interstate compact yet? What?
I'm not sure. She said to wait until after the hearing, but I had to talk to her about it. Who was the name you said? I'm hard to hear about.
He just said you said, okay.
Oh, okay. I have trouble catching someone.
Yes, sir. Okay, you've had 5 write-ups, none since 2016. So you have a good disciplinary record. You know, you've only served 50% of your time, and that's concerning, very concerning. And you're starting to take classes now, good classes, real good classes.
I've taken everything that I could, and I took class, my 100 hours I took before I ever had parole. I took that because I wanted to learn.
Well, that's great, and that's something we look at. Okay, and that's all the questions I have, Mr. Natsa. Does the panel have any questions?
I'm seeing something different here, and I need to explore it. When did you take your first class?
The first class would have been on the record that I got credit for was 100 hours, and I don't remember what year that was.
Well, I see that you took most of your classes in 2016. So I can't figure out what you did from 2004 to 2016.
In the field and work. I mean,
You didn't take any classes at that time.
There wasn't really, we wasn't allowed to take classes when you have 40 years. You're not allowed to take classes. You know, they offered us 100 hours. I was the first one to sign up for 100 hours. When they offered us 100 hours, I was the first one to sign up for it. Here, when they offered classes, I have actually, I sent copies where I waited for 2 years to get in classes, and I signed up for everything I could. So I've tried from the beginning. When you first started out at Angola, you work in the field, you do, and even I was even handicapped a little then, and I still.
You were here in 2017.
I
You
come
came
here.
here in 2017. You didn't take any classes after that. Okay,
I took 3 classes after that.
Do you have a relationship with your daughter?
We ride some. She's been in Ohio for many years. And the very thing that I'm worried about with her, part of what was going on with problems, is what has come to pass. She's basically forgot me. We ride occasionally, but it's not like it was.
And she was in the car during the,
She was 5 years old when we were coming home from church. And what was happening?
no, I don't have any other.
What kind of impact do you think that had on her?
I can't hear you.
What kind of impact do you believe that had, what you did had on your daughter who was there?
That's one of the blessings is she doesn't even know when it died. She doesn't know I even shot him. The bullets even hit him. I fired it over. She was there and he fell and another guy that I knew showed up, got her out of the car and took Mr. Neville's children also, took them into, all the way around and took them into the store. So she didn't even know, and she didn't see some Kevin's in the top, I don't know. Kevin couldn't see, but they were taken away from the side. I was told that, I never seen it, but I was told.
All right, I don't have any other questions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Haynes, I believe you're very remarkable. I'm really looking at you. I think you're remarkable. You've done good here in prison, but you have law enforcement opposition and strong victim opposition. And we heard from the victims and you can see the effect you had on many people's lives, not just yours and your daughter's, but on many, many, many lives. So, you only done half of your sentence and right now, like they said with the new governor's law, we're looking at 85% for everyone. But 20 on 40 is just not enough for me. So keep doing what you're doing, but today I vote to the.
Mr. Haynes, there are some programs, the victim awareness program, some other things, I think that, have you had thinking for change?
Ma'am, I've already passed victim awareness. I'm in victim impact right now, halfway through.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that was all done. I'm in 3 classes.
100 hours. Yeah, I'm talking about a different class. So I think you need to continue some programming before you're released.
Well, I'm signed up for some this week.
More than you hear what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
My desire is that he get as much programming as he can get. Thank you.
Okay, and
So I did not.
Mr. Haynes, I agree with my colleagues based on the opposition we've heard here today. And just frankly, insufficient time. Sorry for the crime. I vote today was to them. Good luck to you, sir.
But I do appreciate the people who come and support, and I think you have a great support network.
McKeaver, DLC 229549.
So we are your parole panel today, so here we are, I'm serving as chairman today. I'm gonna read some identifying information to the record and ask you to confirm it, and then I'd like you to take a moment to tell us why you think we should vote favorably for you today. Tell us why you're here, and why you think we should vote favorably for you. Then we have quite a number of people who are here today, on Zoom and in Baton Rouge, that we'll recognize at the appropriate time. So thank you from all of those who indicated they want to speak. Of course, we'll do the one buyer. The case has been assigned to me, so when we get to it, I'll take the lead on this. So, Mr. McKeaver, you're classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 41-year, 2-month, and 27-day sentence. You were sentenced, you have a sentencing date in Caddo Parish in 1996 for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And then you have a sentencing date in Caddo in November of 2006 for manslaughter. You received a 36-year sentence for that, but it's a total of 41 years. Your parole eligibility date is February 7th, 2025. The good time release date is December 10, 2041. Is all that information correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Would you take a few moments and tell us what led you to prison and then why you think we ought to consider early release?
Okay, can I read my statement of remorseful? Okay.
First of all, because I am sincerely remorseful for my accident in stabbing Miss Rita caused her death. Words cannot express the extent of the emotional heartache I've caused her family and friends. I recall almost 20 years ago, one of her daughters on the witness stand saying that her mother won't be there to see her walk across the stage or to see the birth of a grandchild. Immediately, the full impact of my action weighed heavily on my heart. My heart is still filled with grief because then that statement touched the depth of my conscience, and to this day, that statement is still permanent and planted in my mind. There is not a single minute or second that goes by, and I mean this lyric, that I don't think about and reflect on that night. It's on my mind all the time. Over the course of almost 20 years, I came to realize that my lack of sound judgment affected the lives of countless people, most of whom I don't even know. Regardless of their connection to Miss Rita's family, I believe her community suffered turmoil concerning this ordeal. I am heartbroken because my unwise choices caused such pain and suffering, not only for the victim, but for my own family as well. Now I truly understand empathy and the ripple effect of crime. While in prison, I committed the majority of my time to rehabilitation, becoming self-aware of who I really am. By spirited combating my inner weaknesses that prevented me from making wise choices. My first major accomplishment was when I graduated from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary in Angola and received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Christian ministry. Afterward, I was classified as a chaplain assistant, and for the past 15 years, I've been faithfully involved in ministry. 2 of the programs I've been facilitating, grief sharing, trauma healing, really aided my understanding of grieving process. Grief Share, a 13-week cycle video program designed to give grieving people insight from Christian experts and personal stories of people grieving to death. This program helped me understand the deep, prolonged impact caused by the death of a loved one. The trauma healing program mainly focuses on grieving people. It's designed to help people with emotional heart wounds engage with scripts and find healing. But first, a person needs to accept the pain of loss and grief so that those feelings are not buried inside. And afterward, they can express these feelings honest to God in lament. Once identified and spread, they can bring the pain to Christ, who died for our sin and everything sin brought with it. I understand that remorse is not just about saying you're sorry, but it's about taking meaningful steps to gradually change and mature. In addition, I also facilitate programs such as Inside Outside Dads and Nurturing Parent. These programs are designed to teach men how to be a more involved, responsible community father. Also, in pre-release facilitate, active involved in AANA. I am hopeful that my rehabilitation efforts show that I have mentally matured and that I am not the same individual who almost 20 years ago caused turmoil for countless people. I am accountable for my actions almost 20 years ago and humbly ask for forgiveness to all secondary and church victims.
Thank We're gonna hear from the folks. First, we'll hear from Ward Myers. Is there, what can you tell us about Mr. McKeaver?
Well, Mr. Renata, we'll go a couple directions in this one. That's all right. I had an extensive interview with Louis a couple days ago, as I do with all the guys going on the road. We had a good conversation, first I'll start out saying he is a chaplain's assistant. He, no write-ups in 20 years, which is, pretty incredible to me, starting off in Angola. That's really not normal. And so I commend him for that. He does facilitate some of our classes. I won't go over all the classes he's been in because you can see them, but there's a lot. He's done a lot. Proud of him for that. He's currently enrolled in my victim impact program. So naturally, my first recommendation would be to complete that. But during our conversation, one of the things that stood out to me, and I realized after it was told me this when he took the life of the victim here, and my sympathies to the victim is always. This was not the first one that he had attacked. He shot another one prior, and it's striking to me that in 20 years in prison he hasn't had any violence. So it tells me that there's some kind of issue with him. I feel like it concerns me, and so I strongly recommend that no matter what the board decision today, I have a boys and men program that we developed here. That's a 6-month program, and it teaches everything from relationship skills, the male and female, husband and wife relationship, anger control techniques, parenting. It's a good program, and I think that's something that needs to have a little bit deeper dive for him, and that's the one thing that concerns me. Again, he's done very well with his time and done good, completing programs and helping the facility with facilitating programs. But that is a concern for me. That stood out to me, and I'd like to see him get a little bit more help in that area so that we can make sure that this never happens again.
So I appreciate it. We're going to hear from the folks who want to speak in support. First, the Parole project, Mr. Myers.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. I want to let the board know today we're here to support Mr. McKeaver should the board granting parole today. We're prepared to offer him long-term housing. We're prepared to offer him employment assistance. He would immediately receive an evaluation from our social worker for any additional needs of treatment, and we would ensure that he followed up on any of those recommendations. I think his record speaks for himself. So we want to let the board know that we are prepared and committed to supporting Mr. McKeaver long-term to ensure his success and his long-term viability.
Thank you. We have, let's see, Kevin McKeaver Jr., who is a nephew and is on Zoom.
Hey, how you doing? I'm
Good.
Kevin McKeaver.
Go ahead. What would you like us to know?
I just want to say that if my uncle come home, I'll be there to give him all the tools he need to come back to society and be a respectful, nice man, and just help him with anything he needs, as in home, food, water, anything that he needs. He have all the tools he needs to come back to society and live the rest of his life the right way. So I'm just here to support him no matter what the issue is, and just know like he have people out here that's gonna be on his side the whole way.
All right, well, good. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with us this morning. Looks like you might be at work.
Okay. I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
We also have Richland Howard, who's on Zoom, would like to speak. We have Mr. Howard.
Good morning.
There we go. All right, good morning. Go
Am
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Richland Howard. I am the mother of Kevin McKeaver Jr., Lewis's nephew, and he also has a niece, Kelsey McKeaver, who isn't present today. I just want to express my feelings towards his release. I feel that Lewis is. Can you hear me? Yes. Yes. Can you hear me? I just feel that Lewis has been rehabilitated. And I feel that he can come back out into society and be a very successful citizen in this community. He has presented nothing but good things during his stint of the 20-year sentence that he has endured during this time. I know wholeheartedly that he is regretful for the things that transpired. And I just feel that he has been rehabilitated. And it's my sincere prayer that things will go in his favor on today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. We have at our hearing room in Baton Rouge is Mr. Terrence Wynn. So let me acknowledge some folks who also are here in observing in support. We have LaShonda Garner, sister-in-law, Demetri Mahoney. I mentioned Terrence Wynn, who's in Baton Rouge. Also in Baton Rouge, Calvin McKeaver Sr., Cedric McKeaver, Joseph Williams, and Tarana Diggs. All here in support. Thanks for being here. We also, here with us, we have in opposition some family members of the victim that we'd like to hear from, and I'll let you all decide who wants to go first. And yeah, just introduce yourself. What's your relationship to the victim?
Good morning, board. My name is Shirley Dawson, Cynthia's knee babies. It's been 19 years, 3 months, and 7 days since my mom had got taken away from us. The impact of my mother's death had led me to be on antidepressant medication for 19 years. My mother missed out on her first grandchild being born, my second child being born, and told my mama I have 10 grandkids. My daughter looked just like her. I miss her. I mean, words, I can't put into words how I feel. And for him to be able to do that to his aunt and then come back and kill my mom, I don't feel as if he should be released. Because there's no telling what he'll do to the next female. 10 years, 20 years of being good. He's just a sheep in wolf clothing, honestly. And I'm shaking so bad because I want to cry and I want to cuss, but I can't bring myself to disrespect God like that. But I don't feel as if he should be released. And then hearing the hurt in my brother's voice. When my mama got killed, my brother was in arms. She died in my arms. And she died in her arms. She seen him walking from my mama's house on Joe Louis Street all the way back to where his mama lived in, with blood drenched on his shirt. I was finna run from Lynbrook all the way to Joe Louis Street. When I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to school, and I had the gifts from my grandma down to my brother, to my great grandma. The last person on my mind was my brother, my mama being killed. This has impacted my life so bad. I worked overnight before I would not receive another phone call early in the morning telling me that somebody in my family got hurt or some bad news. I cannot bring myself to sit up and look at you in your face and think that it's okay or that you can get out and just be free and you still walking around, celebrate Christmas, birthdays. It's not right. It's not fair. I feel like your family should feel the way we feel and not have you in their presence. We ain't got them in our presence. So I don't know. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Hello. I'm Shaniqua Pennington, and Thanksgiving before this incident happened, I will call you. Mr. McKeaver. I'm sorry. Call him. Tell him they got into it at my cousin's house for Thanksgiving. And I don't know what it was about, but he told her, if I can't have you, no will. And he stood to it, he did that. And he did it. She died in my arms, and for him to get on tape and say, I got her before she got him, she wasn't trying to get him. She was not trying to get him, and for you to kill her because she said she didn't want to be with you, you could have easily left. She was packing her things to leave. You could have left well alone. I mean, you shot your aunt. You got out of jail. You hit mom. Who's to say what's gonna happen next? Who will he take next? Whose family is he gonna impact next? My sisters were young when this happened. I was 24 at the time. I'm for just thank God I made it to see 43 Sunday. And if it was up to me, he would stay in jail to serve this life sentence, and he can go and be reborn and serve another one before me myself will let him out. I don't feel like he should be free. I understand he's been doing good in jail, but like the board said, is when he get around women, and when he be free, he's gonna be around a lot of women. So who's gonna be his next victim? That's all I have to say. I can't say too much. I just don't feel he should be free.
My name is Victoria Brittle, Cynthia Brittle, baby girls. He growing up has been domestic counseling, anxiety, depression pills. My mama wasn't here to see my firstborn. My mama wasn't here to see me to try to finish school. Like, everything has been so dramatic for me. Like, from here on out, like, everything is just I feel like I'm dead inside without hope. Completely dead. But to see him, I just got the phone with my mom at 12 something to get a call at 2:45 in the morning just to say she gone. And to come around and her to see him walking with her blood on him and to sit in court and say, I got you first, I got you first. And my mama loved him to death. Loved his family, took care of everybody. But I forgive him, but I will not forget. But
Yeah, is Robert on the line with us?
I think he is.
Robert, is there anything you wanted to say? So we'll get started with our interview. So, Mr. McKeaver, I'm glad the warden brought up the first offense. You shot your aunt 4 times. What was going on there? That was in 1995?
Yes, ma'am. We had a disagreement, it was really over drugs.
And you meant to kill him?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am, because she kept saying that she was gonna kill. It's like that was over my mother's house. So. But me and my aunt after, I mean, we had a real good relationship afterwards. So I actually stayed impressed after that. Had a beautiful relationship.
And in the reports that I read at that time, you were highly intoxicated. What were you on?
Alcohol, maybe drugs at the time also.
You remember? What were you on? What kind of drugs did you do? What kind of drugs did you do at the time?
At the time, it was crack cocaine.
So you said this was over drugs. This whole episode, why you shot her was over drugs. That's what you just
But
said.
but ma'am, I mean, I had drugs at the time. I was on drugs. Yes, ma'am. That's what I meant. Yes. I was on drugs at the time. Yes,
Right, but you couldn't remember just now what you were on.
ma'am.
We're gonna move on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
We're
ma'am.
gonna move on.
Okay.
So then, Ms. Rita, tell us your version of what happened.
Honestly, I went to I just got a knife out of the car and I stabbed.
For no reason. I wanna know what happened that day. Why did you do that?
Happened that day, he was doing drugs. He was doing drugs, alcohol, and it just led up to that. We got into an argument that night. got into an argument, no. And I thought at that particular time that she was reaching for a gun. And that's the reason I stabbed her. Yes, ma'am. That's the reason I stabbed.
Yeah, I do see that you told the police, she said she was going to get a gun and I got it first.
Got out the car and I stabbed her.
Why didn't you just stay in the car and drive away and thought she was gonna shoot you?
It wouldn't start. It wouldn't start. Yes, ma'am.
So, you had a plea agreement. Did you not?
No, I
Weren't
went
you
to
originally?
trial.
You went to trial?
Yes, ma'am. I went to trial.
The original charge was second-degree murder,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were convicted of manslaughter,
Yes, ma'am.
because you had entered a plea agreement.
I went to, on this charge, I went to trial on this charge, and I was sentenced to a manslaughter charge. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It wasn't a plea agreement. I was sentenced to that, a manslaughter.
But that's what the jury found you guilty of.
No, I went, in front of the judge, in front of the judge.
So you had a judge.
Bench trial. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And in the case of your aunt, that was an attempted second-degree murder, but you got convicted of firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
Instead.
Yes, ma'am.
That was quite a break.
Yes, ma'am. We had a good relationship, honestly.
Shots.
Where is she today?
She died of COVID. She died of COVID.
Sorry to hear that. So let's start, are you a Bible college graduate?
Yes, ma'am.
2013?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I've been doing for the last 15 years.
And the one did say you're the chaplain's assistant.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and I looked, I see welding and living in balance. You did that in 2023. What took you so long to address, how to do something about substance abuse, which obviously we have an issue?
Well, and one why I had signed up for those courses, I wasn't enrolled in them. I just didn't get them. I had signed up for them. I was on backlog for them.
How long?
It was a while when I came here, I signed up.
You signed up when you got here?
Yes, ma'am.
2017?
Yeah, that's when I got here. Yes, ma'am.
It took you so long. You've been around other places
I'm
that
saying
had
enrolled.
classes, I know, but
Yeah.
why didn't you sign up there? You didn't think you had a problem? No.
I have no idea.
When did you realize
When I came to jail.
that? Jail.
Yes, ma'am. I knew I had a problem with drugs and alcohol. And that was one of the reasons I actually I went to the NLBT, I went to the seminary. I just wanted to try to change who I was. And that's been for the last 15 years. That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to better myself.
Your record, your disciplinary record is quite impressive. And I appreciate that, because I know that's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're at that. You have, earned 405 days of what we call good time credit. So I want you to tell me what you believe. You received a 41-year sentence, right at 41 years, and you've not done half of that yet. Almost half. What do you think is fair and just, considering what you've heard from these ladies, in terms of the amount of time you should serve?
Honestly, for the person that I was, honestly, I would say that I should serve all the time. That should be a life sentence, actually. But I've changed. I have an honest relationship with God now. In the past 15 years, I've been a chaplain assistant. I've been helping young men try to realize their potential. They can be good out there in society also. They can make it out there. And they can make it in here. And a real personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Actually, that's what helped me change. People can say anything else about me, anything like that, but I know for a fact that's what helped me change. I actually preached I had a sermon I preached last night in the chapel. And it was just dealing with the end time. But that's what I've been doing. That's what I do.
So maybe your purpose is to help those around you in prison. Have you ever thought of that?
Yes, ma'am, I thought about
So if you were successful today, where would you go?
it. Successful parole project.
That's long term.
Yes, ma'am.
Sit back and listen to my colleagues. Do you have any questions? So both of the violent acts, but what was the trigger back then? I mean, did you have anger? What was your trigger? What was the reason that you went towards the problem versus the way?
See, I think, and I really been thinking about it over these, 20, I think alcohol had a big part to play in honest. Alcohol in my, addiction to crack cocaine. Cause I come to realize that I'm really, I'm not that person. I did some violent acts, but that's not who I, that's not who I am.
Oh, we heard from your nephew. Do you have people in your family come visit you often?
It's, my brother, Calvin McKeaver, he comes, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as far as family support when you got out, you don't have as much as some people would have. Would you want to go back to Caddo?
No, that's the reason I actually, turned to parole project because I was wanting to move somewhere. That's not what I want back to street.
So you're a third class offender. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
and you've been in 19. And you're 57?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I don't have any questions.
We have, we have, the Caddo Parish District Attorney's Office who wants to speak, but first let me just mention the opposition in the record. The judge in both cases, both of the violence against women cases, is opposed. The District Attorney's Office will hear from, they're strongly opposed. The Attorney General is opposed based on the habitual offender status and crimes violence, so you need to be aware of that. Ms. Fitzgerald, we'd like to hear from you.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Leone Fitzgerald with the Caddo Parish DA's office, and I am here to oppose on behalf of the office. Just for clarification, the charge with Mr. McKeaver's aunt, that was a plea agreement where he pled guilty to possession of a firearm by a felon, and the attempted murder charge was dismissed. But his manslaughter charge was the result of a bench trial, and my office sought a second-degree murder conviction, but he chose a judge trial and he received the benefit of a reduced conviction to manslaughter instead. And then we filed a habitual offender bill and he was sentenced as a second felony offender. So that's how that came about. Of course, we oppose just due to the violent nature of both of these offenses. It's not that common to have someone here for two such violent offenses against women, shooting his own aunt, stabbing a lady to death. And I'm not going to go on because I know you've already heard from the family and it's evident the pain and the trauma that this still causes them. I can't even imagine finding my own bloodied mother dying on the doorstep and how that affects someone for the rest of her life. So I think what it all comes down to is I don't want to take away from any of the programs that Mr. McKeaver has done. And I think that's great, but we're basically halfway there. And has he given back enough to make up for what he took away? And quite simply, I think the answer to that is no. So thank you.
Thanks for your comments. All right, Mr. McKeaver, I think that we are prepared to vote. I'll vote first. I appreciate your record. I do. I appreciate your the certain community service work that you did in the prison and preaching and being the chaplain's assistant, being a tutor and so forth. I couldn't agree more with Warden Myers though about concerns about the crimes that you did commit. I agree. I believe the program he mentioned, the Voice to Men, would be just more tools in your toolbox to help better prepare you for a return to society. My vote today is gonna be to deny your parole, and this is why, because I believe you need more programs, of course, the opposition that we've heard from today, and the fact that I think it's insufficient time served on your sentence. That I do wish you well, and hope that you be well. Mrs. Ledoux.
Mr. McKeever, when I read your, report, there were a number of pages in your report. You have an excellent institutional history, but your criminal past, something that you haven't yet, in my mind, been able to overcome. Okay, the programming is good, but 19 years, you're not even at half of your sentence. So I think that you need to avail yourself to continue doing the good work you're doing. So my vote is to deny. You've gotten a lot of breaks, you know, and so we hope to see you again. Okay, Mr. Freeman.
I concur. I deny due to law enforcement and victim opposition plus, lack of time served.
All right, Mr. McKeever, we still got some work to do. Get there. There's yourself, tell us your name, and the seat number for the record.
Man, Calvin Henderson, 403359.
And, you see, we are your parole committee, I'll serve as chair today. First, and you're represented by Councilman Eunice, Mr. Lancaster, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, Mr. Knopf. Robert Lancaster with the LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic here today representing Calvin Henderson. With me, is Maya Hank. She is a third-year student at the LSU Law Center, so applied on our user group 20, and in that capacity, she'll be representing today. Also, Jordan Green is a the LSU Law School assistant. Robert Lancaster with the LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic here today representing Calvin Henderson. With me, is Maya Hank. She is a third-year student at LSU Law Center.
Excuse me, if you have it playing on YouTube, you need to turn your volume off.
I think we got it. Okay. So I'll read some identifying information into the record. Mr. Henderson asked you to verify it from the warden. Adam, can you tell us why you believe we should vote favorably? You should take a minute to do that. And then we'll hear from the folks that want to speak, and we'll let the lawyers close it out for us. We also have folks in opposition representing the victims. We'll hear from them too. Mr. Henderson, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 40-year sentence. You were sentenced in Caddo Parish in August of 2004 for a manslaughter conviction. You have a parole eligibility date, which is passed. It was August 12, 2022. You have a good time release date, May 19, 2041. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been before the board before, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am.
So take a moment and tell us why you believe we should vote favorably.
Before I start, I'd like to do my 8th step. Make amends with all the people I harmed. Can't really make amends with them. And also the next step, make direct amends with those people. And where possible, except in doing so, cause them or other people harm or danger. I'm very remorseful for the hurt and pain that I've caused the Williams family. Saying I'm sorry will never be enough. But taking the steps to grow, and making conscious decisions to be a better person. Helping express my remorse by helping others. I feel I'm paying some form of restitution for the pain that I caused Charles Williams family. I committed a senseless crime. By shooting and killing Charles Williams. This was a drug deal gone bad, terribly bad. I alone caused the pain and the hurt of his family for over 20+ years. Even today, of being here and making this pain fresh. My hurt was also increased even more so after hearing from my last hearing what his brother said about the effects that took place with his sons. Knowing the ripple effect of my destructive behavior has caused, and for this I'm greatly remorseful. That pain weighs heavy on me. Also, I began to help others, just being a service to others. Helping as I can, as often as I can. I'm no longer that selfish male from 22 years ago. Today I have compassion and a heart for helping others. Today I help rather than hurt. I push education and transformation. By earning my bachelor's degree in Christian ministry has also allowed me more involved in others. I used to do prison ministry cell block, and while I was at Angola, talking to guys that normally would not talk to other people, by sharing hope and light and bringing some form of light in their lives. I also today I help guys find housing. Guys that can't get out of jail because of the
significance of their children, they just don't have a place to live. I use the resources I met throughout this incarceration and find out their charges, and I get my wife to contact these facilities. And if these facilities are committed to helping these guys, she sent me back the information. I turn it into the RLCC staff. I'm also a pre-release facilitator. I'm also a NCCR craft instructor. I just recently became a DOC mentor through DOC. I facilitate AA. I volunteer and facilitate AANA. I help with the safety NCCR safety program. I volunteer with, and I also volunteer with the welding program. So my every day is for the service of others. It's not about me, and it's about helping others. I feel like I said, I feel that that's some type of restitution that I'm giving back to this community. So I live here, so I would like to make this atmosphere better for all of us. I go out my way to helping others. I work on my addictions, my addictive behavior. So I use the support of the staff here and the guys that look up to me. I'm looked on as a leader in this community, and I carry myself as such. Today, I no longer have to be told to tuck my shirt in or stand on the right side of the line. I know that I have to make an example for others to follow. And so this is what I do on a daily basis. Throughout this incarceration, I like working with my hands. I've been a part of a lot of different programs. We used to go to Baton Rouge every day with the prison enterprise. I helped renovate that whole building from the beginning to the end. That bank, some type of bank they got or whatnot. Credit union. And so I was a part of that. Also, I was a part of the special project team that was in New Orleans. We leave on a Monday and come back on a Friday. So we're staying at the halfway house or whatever that was. I was also part of the prison band. I was on the traveling band where we played for a lot of different events. The last big event that I was a part of was the opening of the museum. And we played with some of the Neville brothers, or when I played bass guitar. We were selected to play, and we played. Became trustworthy. This staff allows me to do what I have to do to help other guys on an everyday basis. So and if it wasn't so, they're not gonna let you move around this prison. I'm a trustee. I'm trusted. I do everything I can for others. It's not about me. It's about what I can do to help others and other men be better, and learning from my mistakes, not doing the same thing, and expressing pre-release, expressing to guys that you no longer have to continue to do crime. We have other options. It's always other options instead of using violence or whatnot. I have not had not one fight in 22 years. I vowed that I would not put my hands or hurt nobody. And this is what I've been doing. So I've been helping. I had mistakes. I dropped the ball a couple of times, but I pick them up and I keep going, keep pressing, kept pressing, and I'm gonna continue to press. And I'm knowing that if given an opportunity, I could be an asset to not only to this community, but the community on the outside. With the resources of my wife, they have a Christian fellowship at her church. I know I can help. I'm doing it now on this small platform, and I know on a larger platform I can be even more of a help. This is what I do every single day.
So tell us, what language in prison, what did you do?
I shot and killed Charles Williams behind drugs and money.
How old were you?
23.
27, somewhere thereabouts.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, well, let's hear from the folks who want to speak on your behalf. We have, your wife is here. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. I hear you first, and we'll hear from the Davis.
Oh, Mr. Nelson, just, yes, as always, first and foremost, sympathies and condolences to the victims and the families, but, as you know, I'm here to speak on behalf of, what Calvin has done while he's been incarcerated. And, the list goes on, as he laid it out pretty well. He facilitates many of my classes. He helps others. He has earned many skills and trades since he's been in. He's received his GED. Since his last hearing when he was denied, I recommended that he complete my Boys and Men program, which he did. I recommended that he complete the Victim Impact program, which he did. And I also recommended that he go back through living in balance substance abuse treatment, which he did. So he has done everything that I've asked. He's done everything that we have asked, and he is a good part of the community here. He does help. He has used his time very wisely, and he's done everything that we've asked of him. His conduct record, he hasn't had disciplinary report since 2017. So he's shown drastic improvement since then. So again, he's done what we've asked of him. Or any culture.
He's been here.
Yeah.
How long has he been here?
About 7 years.
7 years.
Since he's been here, he's done very well.
All right, Miss Davis. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, and I wrote something because I know it's gonna get off track. My name is Avis Henderson, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my husband. I just wanted to let you know, Calvin, who Calvin is today. But before I do, I want to begin by saying that he is very remorseful, as you can see, for this crime he committed against Charles Williams, and the hurt and pain it has caused his family, especially his sons, like you say, since the last hearing, that really broke him to hear his brother say the stuff that happened. Our family and the shame he's brought into the community. Calvin is not the same man who committed this crime 22 years ago. 2 Corinthians 5:17 said, therefore, if any man is in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things have passed away, behold, all things have become new. Calvin has worked hard to prove that he can be a law-abiding citizen. He has taken numerous of classes that is required by DOC, and also classes to assist him to become a productive citizen. We have an amazing support group that is available to assist Calvin re-enter into society. Calvin has many friends who was incarcerated that is doing well and is also available to assist with his transition. I'm an active member at United Christian Faith Ministry, where there's a lot of outreach programs that is going to assist, and small group programs for him as well. I'm asking this board for grace from this board to find it in your heart to grant Calvin parole and to prove that his incarceration has done what it was equipped to do, rehabilitate him. We're at the mercy of this board, and whatever decision you make today, we respect your judgment. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Mr. Myers with the Parole Project.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We were there at Calvin's hearing in 22. And at that time, the board looked at Calvin and said, Calvin, you're doing really well, but you need more. Two things can happen on a denial. People can take it negatively and spiral, or they can take it as the board gave recommendations positively. That's how Calvin took it, and he did that and more. He continued to involve himself in programs, in community service. He took it as a personal challenge to continue on the path that he had been on for many years. We plan to provide Calvin with the transitional services that he needs. He has as you see, he has a strong support system, as his wife just mentioned. He will be here in Baton Rouge on a long-term basis. He will receive the mentoring from our staff. He will receive the programming that he needs. And he has all the tools. He's earned those tools. He has a support system. And we just believe that Calvin is a product of what the system can do and has done in his case, which is rehabilitation. So I'd ask this board to just grant us parole today. And Parole Project looks forward to helping him through his transition.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we'll hear from the opposition that wants to speak. And first, we'd like to hear from Mr. Smith.
Thank you. To the State Board of Louisiana, to the State of Louisiana Board of Pardons and Parole, from the family of Charles L. Williams, Susie Smith, maternal grandmother, Edna Fuggins, deceased mother, the siblings Roosevelt, myself, Kenneth, Michael, Willie, Liza, and of course his 2 sons. Regarding Calvin Henderson, DOC number 403359. Good morning, judges. I'm Kenneth Smith, and on behalf of my deceased brother, I, along with my family, are here again to oppose Calvin Henderson's early release. Family members and friends who could not be here in person today are watching these proceedings online. As I stated 2 years ago at the last parole hearing, we will never agree to his early release. The irreparable damage done by Henderson to our family continues to bring sad times 24 years after he chose to kill our brother. I often rewatch the last parole hearing. I don't feel Henderson was remorseful at all, just sorry he was caught. The lead board member repeatedly caught him in lies when he was questioned about the circumstances surrounding Charles's death, his problem with alcohol, his jail write-ups, and corrective courses he allegedly took in prison. When asked about those courses that he took to aid in his rehabilitation, he read the course objectives from his notes. He could not articulate any real learnings. This guy could have chosen to do so many productive things in life, like work for one of Shreveport's leading office furniture suppliers for over 22 years, or serve a 20-year career in the military, or a 25-year career at the city of Shreveport, or a 35-year career as an automobile mechanic, or maybe a 20-year career at one of Shreveport's most sought-after restaurants. But he didn't choose anything productive. He chose a life of crime. Henderson has made some bad choices in his life. Those bad choices led him to commit crimes that started when he was a juvenile and became more violent as an adult. You all have access to his complete criminal history, but I want to mention that his prior felony. In 1997, Henderson was arrested for attempted second-degree murder, which was pled down to a charge of aggravated assault. And he only served 2 short years for trying to take somebody's life. 2 years later, 2002, Henderson killed Charles. I can't help but think that if his first plea was rejected and he'd received a longer sentence, Charles would be alive. Speaking of choices, I made a bad choice in accepting Henderson's sweetheart plea deal in which he chose a sentence of 40 years in exchange for him taking accountability for killing our brother. If I had known Henderson had served time previously for shooting someone, I would have told Mr. Ed Bloor to reject the plea offer and continue down the road to get a second-degree murder conviction. I felt that taking a plea deal would spare my family, especially our mom and his sons, the agony of sitting through a murder trial. If I had known Henderson's prior criminal history, there's no way I would have been okay with letting him choose his own 40-year sentence to avoid a life sentence. No doubt this inmate is a violent criminal. If he's allowed back on the streets, he has the propensity to commit these crimes again. What will victims assistance advocate say to the family of the next victim he hurts or kills when he doesn't get his way and resorts to what he knows best, and that's gun violence? He's never truly taken responsibility for his actions. He has experience gaming the system, and he's been trying to get out of this since the beginning. At sentencing, Judge Garrett asked him if he understood that he could not appeal or seek review of the sentence that he has been imposed as part of a plea bargain agreement and sentence, which is an agreed upon sentence. Henderson answered in the affirmative, and I quote, "Yes, ma'am," unquote. Being the shrewd criminal he is, he appealed the sentence anyway, and the conviction was upheld by Judge Hornsby in September 2011. With your expertise, I know you will see through his lies and deceit. We're grateful for your time and attention to our plea to keep Henderson in jail. Please continue holding him accountable by making him keep his word. He was facing life in prison for a crime, but our justice system allowed this professional criminal the opportunity to make a plea for a lesser sentence a second time. In solidarity, we emphatically oppose any form of early release for this offender. We will end this fight. I say we will end this fight when he successfully completes the sentence he chose. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Fitzgerald, would you like to speak now?
Yes, please. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, again, I'm Leon Fitzgerald. I'm representing the Caddo Parish District Attorney's Office, and I would like to oppose in this matter. I think we have to mention the violent nature of this offense and the very concerning previous offense that he had in order to get the whole picture here. And his prior ag battery was for, involved attacking a lady with a box cutter, and she did sustain serious injuries, and he was convicted of that. He admitted to that offense. And so then he goes on in 2002 to kill Mr. Charles Williams. He also had a prior in 1995. He had an ag assault that involved some young males shooting at someone, and he was one of 3 that were arrested for that. So we can't say that this came out of nowhere and that Mr. Henderson didn't have a proven record of violence. So I commend the programs that he's done. That's what we want people to do. But I'm sitting here in a room full of family members of Charles Williams, and he was loved. His absence is still felt. This has been an ongoing trauma for his family. I met Mr. Smith very shortly after this occurred, and he was beating the streets himself, finding us one of the best witnesses that we had in this case. There was Mr. Williams' mother was alive. She's now deceased. This family has been through losing their mother, with a promise to her to carry on this fight and to see this through. I can't even imagine what kind of a burden that is for Mr. Smith and his siblings to carry on. But clearly, Mr. Williams is somebody who was loved. His loss is felt. And sort of like I said on Mr. McKeaver, I feel like we're here too soon. We're only halfway in roughly to his sentence. And even if he's improved himself, even if he's involved in programs, I just don't think it's enough at this point in time. So I am going to respectfully ask the board to deny parole because I don't think he's paid his debt to our community. I don't think he's paid his debt to Charles Williams. And definitely to the family in this room today that is left behind. So thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate, I do see the family members in the room. We appreciate you all joining us today. Let me just acknowledge some folks who are here in support. I did not acknowledge them earlier. Troy Georgetown, Cecilia Henderson, Rose Henderson, Belinda Thornton, Jacqueline Clark, Betty Carter, and we also have some education staff from the DOC who are in support. So just wanted to acknowledge that. So Calvin, your case has been assigned to me. I'm gonna take the lead on the interview. And I went back and listened to your last hearing. I listened to it and I heard Mr. Kenneth Smith at that time. You mentioned today what his remarks last time were too. And the note I made was that your actions had a tremendous impact on the Williams family at all levels. I want you to comment on that again.
As I said earlier, I still take free release, and I believe that the most valuable module in free release is module 5 is the victim impact. Inside that module, you have to reverse the roles in your victim impact statement. So you're putting yourself in the victim's spot, and you have to write a letter stating how you felt. And to see on paper, what I've done and the pain that I've caused them, it's very hurtful. Sorry. Sorry, all the things I've caused them, I said earlier, I've not done nothing that hurt. I had a violent history. I was angry. I was angry. The angry kid. Well, that's no longer me. Today I help. That's all I do.
So when did that transformation happen?
Started that when I took pre-release in 14 or 15, but even before then, I vowed I wasn't gonna hurt nobody else. This will keep putting my attitude and my temper kept putting me in bad positions, and somebody else was paying the price for it. From the parish to this point, from the parish, I was trying to talk to I used to talk to the at-risk kids. They used to bring kids to listen to me talk, and just trying to make something different and show that we don't have to resolve to violence. So from 2002 to this point now, I've been doing the same exact thing, trying to educate myself and help others that's like me or thought like me to show that it's a different way, different options, there's more options than just being. Instead of reacting to my emotions, I've learned to respond to my emotions. So I'm no longer dictated by how I feel. So I use these options because if I'm thinking about it, if I respond to it, that means I have to think about this, and I'm going to think about what the ripple effect going to be, who's going to be involved, how this is going to hurt the next person. So this is what keeps me going today. This is what keeps me out of trouble. As you can see, yes, I did have a violent past, but I'm not harmed, and I had not one fight since I've been incarcerated. Not one.
That's telling. So you were at the police barracks for a little while.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
I was at the police barracks, COVID-19 hit. I got a phone call from the people who told me that my sister was in a coma. She had coded 3 times and made a bad decision and got a cell phone because I was like, if she's gonna die, I at least want to see her. Her right there. Thank God they brought her. Saved her life.
And so you got caught with the phone and they moved you out of the barracks. And then since then, well, the warden said your last write-up was 2017. Your record is impeccable, and I heard everything the warden said. I mean, you should be proud of the things that you've done. I made a big circle on my notes about the plea agreement. When we do this, and I think Judge Marabella may have mentioned this to you at your last hearing, we are in a difficult spot because there's a lot of different things we got to balance. And that is one of them, is what you agreed to. And justice, and I think we even talked at the last hearing about at that time, you didn't expect a parole date. I think that the 80% maybe was what you expected to serve of that 40 sentence, which we're not close to that yet. But I'll sit back and listen to my colleagues and see what they have to say. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, I just want to be a little bit more clear on what exactly happened. Okay, you picked him up and y'all were riding around, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what kind of drugs were y'all using?
It was marijuana we were buying. I was buying from him. Marijuana.
You were buying from him?
Yes, sir. Him
Okay.
and some other guy.
How did he become unconscious?
I hit him when we got back to another area. I was going to get him some of the other, because at that point I didn't really need the weed no more because I had already bought some from somebody else. But I told him, because I told him I'd get it from him. So I got the weed earlier, and so when I got to the house, I realized it wasn't right. So they told me to come back up there, and we was gonna go get the guy who we supposed to got the weed from. Cause they said they was going in half with the trade and sale. So we was in the car, we went to Ramada Inn to try to find the guy or whatnot. The guy wasn't there. So on the way back, he was like, well, look, man, give me some of that, so you still have any of that other weed that you said you bought, let me try it out. I said, yeah, I can go get you some. So we got to where I hustle at, and I seen the little rubber bands that I seen that he give the guy with the money was on it. And I asked him, I said, man, you trying to play me out of my money? And that's when we got into a little argument. I had it was a gun in my console. I hit him, he reached for it, I hit him, got the gun, and I shot him.
Okay, and that was one of the questions. So both of you really sold drugs at that time, is what you tell them?
Yes, sir.
You and the victim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
So I have a question I didn't address. You had a job, at that time. And I picked up in your last hearing, because you were asked, well, why are you selling drugs? You had a big job.
That time I was providing for 3 or 4 households.
And why is that?
I chased a lot of women.
So there were children
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
households that you were,
Yes, ma'am.
and were you a drug user?
No, man, I didn't use the drugs, but I did drink.
I made a question mark. Were you addicted to money?
Yes, ma'am.
And what have you done to address that?
I've learned many skills. I weld. I just earned my computer technology skills, basic training. I've learned a lot of different trades I work around here for 4 hours, and I'm happy about it. And because I like the work that I do, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing. From every building that's on Angola premise from 2005 all the way to this point, and even up here, I volunteer and go help build stuff, because I like doing what I do. And I know if I enjoy doing what I'm doing for free, I'm surely gonna enjoy doing it, getting paid for it.
Any other questions?
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Maya Hemingway, and I'm representing Mr. Calvin Henderson as a 3L at LSU Law, along with my supervisor, Robert Lancaster, and second-year student assistant, Jordan Green. I'm certified to practice as a student attorney under Louisiana Supreme Court Rule 20. Mr. Henderson comes before this honorable committee respectfully requesting early release on parole. August 25, 2004, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison, the eligibility of parole for 1 count of manslaughter. Mr. Henderson has accepted responsibility and is deeply remorseful as he now understands the impact that his actions had and still have on the victim, Charles Williams' family. But how do we know that he won't recidivate? Well, upon entering prison, Mr. Henderson didn't have his GED, but since incarceration, he has now obtained his GED and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Christian ministry. His esteemed educational achievements statistically reduce his likelihood of recidivism and provide him with advanced opportunities to get involved in the community. And furthermore, his institutional compliance demonstrates his ability to follow the rules. And we know that upon following the rules in a confined environment, Mr. Henderson has a high probability of successfully achieving the same result outside of prison. And the people closest to him, the warden and the prison staff, are the ones that trust him the most. And recognizing Mr. Henderson's readiness for release, the institution has put him in charge of multiple reentry classes as a mentor to younger prisoners. They recognize not only his success in rehabilitation, but his ability to demonstrate leadership. By releasing Mr. Henderson today, this gives hope to other prisoners that if they learn the value and importance of following the rules inside prison, they too may get a second chance at life. And maintaining one of the highest trustee statuses at Raymond Laborde further shows that he can be trusted. And it was even noted at his last hearing in 2022 that he needed to participate in Alcohol Anonymous, and that's exactly what he's done. He took denial at his last hearing as an incentive to do more. Mr. Henderson has spent his time in prison contributing to the institution by going above and beyond in the necessary programs set up for success upon release. And pursuant to Louisiana Legislative Act number 122, he is eligible for parole by serving at least 20 years of his sentence upon reaching the age of 45. And parole affords one the opportunity to continue to pay their debt to society by continuing to serve their sentence as a productive member of the community under supervision. Mr. Henderson has worked diligently to transform himself into a man today of faith, discipline, and obedience, who thinks before he acts and values helping others. And although he can't change what happened 22 years ago, he plans to mitigate the harm he caused by never returning to Caddo Parish. Since his defense at the age of 23, Mr. Henderson has had much time for self-reflection and spiritual healing. His valuable skill set has even led to him securing 2 job offers if he's granted parole today. One job offer is with Turner Industries, and the other is with Performance Contractor Incorporated. And this is the work that he's excelled in prison. And one thing the prison administration even noted about Mr. Henderson was his incredible work ethic and his capacity to do quality work they can depend on, which makes him an asset to his employer. If he's released today, Mr. Henderson will be residing with the Louisiana Parole Project, where he then eventually plans to live with his wife in Baton Rouge. And employment and stable housing ensure that one has a greater chance at success. In his 22 years of incarceration, it is evident that the goal of rehabilitation and deterrence have been met. Between establishing his faith and maintaining his sobriety, he is now a rehabilitated individual. Mr. Henderson hopes through this interview today that you will be able to see him as an asset to society, just as I've been able to see over the past few months. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Henderson, I think we're prepared to vote.
I would like to move for the executive session, please, Madam Chair.
We have a motion. I have a second. I have no objections, so we'll be in executive session for just a few minutes to discuss confidential matters. regular session. I didn't know the time we went out, but we are back in at 11:29. All right, Mr. Henderson, we're here with those. And I wanted you to know this, and I think failed to mention it earlier. In the record somewhere, I see a note where, Mr. Williams, Charles's mother, forgave. She didn't want you out of prison, but she forgave. So, before her passing.
Thank you.
So, I'll be voting first. Your case was assigned to me, and I'm gonna tell you, I heard everything that, Mr. Kenneth Smith said, Ms. Fitzgerald said. I'm gonna vote to grant you for a condition. I think you have based on the remarks by Warden Myers, I don't know what else you could do in prison. You've done community service to everywhere you've been. You've done community service. You have a low risk score, which at your last hearing, you scored a moderate, which would make you ineligible. Well, but because you had a birthday, it dropped to a low. You just have a really good institutional record. You've done good programs. You did what was asked of you at the last hearing, and what working the nurses asked of you. I would grant conditional to the parole project transition plan with a special condition that you obtain a mental health evaluation, follow whatever it is that may be recommended. You do attend AA meetings, continue that participation as prescribed by your parole officer. Don't return to Caddo Parish, and perform community service work, speaking to at-risk youth. I'll let you work that out with your parole officer.
Thank you.
That's my best. Good luck. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Henderson, I do agree with what, Ms. Renata has said. I don't know what else you could do in prison. I had a big hang up, you served 55% of your time, 22 years of 40. So that kind of caught me, but on the other hand, I look at all the things you've done, and there's not much more that I think we can offer. But you are not a public safety threat, so my vote tonight would be to grant. With the conditions, you stay out of Caddo and do not get anywhere around those victims.
Yes, sir.
If I find out you're in Caddo or around the victims, I will revoke. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Legay.
Mr. Henderson, you committed this crime at 23. You've had an opportunity to mature. I'm gonna grant parole today. It in no way diminishes the victim pain. In no way are we saying that the victim's pain in reality was not real. I hope that you do what your training inside has prepared you to do, and that's to go out and be productive.
Thank you.
Goodbye. We have staff that love to listen. We try to. Yes.
Already off.
All right, Mr. Duncan. Or Mr. Duncan, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your seat.
Derrick Duncan, 31 Porter.
All right, Mr. Duncan, we can see who we are. I'm serving as chair of today's parole hearing. I'm going to read some information into the record. Then we'll ask you to take a minute to tell us why you think why are you here, and then why do you think we should grant you early release. We'll hear from the warden and the folks who are here, and in Baton Rouge that want to speak on your behalf. Before we start our interview, what we need to do is going to sign your case, so she's going to take the lead. So, Mr. Duncan, you are classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving as an habitual offender, attempted armed robbery. You were sentenced in 2018 in Caddo Parish. Your sentence is 40 years. Your parole eligibility date is later this year, December 3rd. And your good time release date is December 14, 2030. Is that right? Okay. Take a minute and tell us what landed you in jail, and why do you think we ought to go favorable?
I had a drug habit. And it led me to do a few things that leading up to this charge. The robbery charge. Led me up.
So why do you think we ought to vote for you? Tell us, since you've been in jail, what have you done? Why do you think you're ready?
I want to show my board, I want to apologize. For the jail thing, what took place December 3rd, 1999, December 7th, 1999. I'm truly sorry for the thing that I did. When I put that thing between the middle of my family. I really appreciate if everybody can just find their heart and real truth, forgive me for what I did. And I feel like I should be released because I'm no longer that person that I was back then. I was young, I was immature, and I made some mistakes. But I'm a better person today. I've been grown, I'm mature, and I had a lot of something to think about. The harm and everything that I've done to the family and my family for years in foster care.
Warden, can you tell us about Mr. Duncan?
Yes, ma'am. And I see, he's currently enrolled in our victim impact program and age range. So naturally, I'm going to recommend that he complete that by the board decision. But, in my interview and conversation with him the day before yesterday, we spoke about his drug habit, drug uses. And because I noted that he completed the substance abuse program in 2014. But we talked about, and he was honest with me, and he admitted that he had used drugs since then. And that's part of his conduct record. So I recommend, I think he needs to go through living in balance program, both phases, to make sure that we get him the help he needs for that drug substance abuse issue. We're going to see him succeed. So I think he's taking their transparent anger management for a change. He's done some good things. I just think he has work to do to make sure he succeeds.
Here, Ms. Mary.
Yes, I like to say that I feel like that Gary made a mistake because of me, because I was very young when I first had my kids. I was 14 when I had her, and I was 19 when I had Derrick. And I want a mother to them like I saw them because my mom always there with me to help me raise my kids. She passed away. I try my best to raise my kids the best way I can. And it was just hard, and I think that's why Derrick started doing what he done, because I wasn't there with him during that time. I had left. And I left him. I should have took him with me. And right today, I feel he been gone 25 years. And I want my son to come home today, whenever y'all decide, let him come home, because I miss my son. I think I need to be with my son. And I'm a better person than I used to be. I done got married, stuff like that. And I just want my son to come home, because I got medical things that going on with me and stuff. And if something happens to me, I just want my son at home with me. He can be there with me. With no situation they going on with me.
Appreciate it. We have, let's see, we have Terrence Wynn, who is in Baton Rouge with the pipes program. Terrence?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity.
Terrence,
Yes.
before you get started on what you want us to know about Mr. Duncan, just explain real briefly what the pipes program is.
Okay. PIPE stands for Priorities, Intentions, and Practical Exchange. PIPES is an organization that helps anybody that's help people with reintegration back into society. We also have a strong support group, which everyone that's a part of PIPES are formerly incarcerated. We range from guys that's done 42 years, like Mr. William, on down to me. I did 30 years of incarceration. So PIPES is just, we're 360 wraparound. We offer 360 wraparound services, and we offer a strong support to anybody that's reintegrating back into society.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, then tell us what you want to know about Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Duncan is someone that I know, that I personally know, someone that I've had intimate conversations with, someone that I really watched grow in prison from a misguided young guy from Shreveport, like I'm from Shreveport, to a guy that's really able to withstand things. He's a guy that had problems with drugs. And most of my conversations with him was to get him on the right course. And, those conversations led him to doing right thing. It led him to stop using drugs, to putting the Bible in his hand, but like talking about the Bible a lot. Something that used to kind of like make me laugh, because I never really saw him going in that direction. But he's a guy that was once misguided and just gained himself. He gained the knowledge of himself and understood the consequences of his actions. And he did things, get into programs that we would suggest for him to get into so that he can become a better person. So what we want to do is, if the board releases him, we want him to be a mentor to kids that's going through these drug problems, because drugs are plaguing our community. And it takes a person that has firsthand knowledge for these kids to identify with. And we do a lot of community-based activities with kids. We mentor a lot of kids. So we're all over our city. And Derrick, with his experience, he could change someone's life so that they don't make the mistakes that he made down the drug path that'll lead him to commit a crime, to come to prison. So our organization, we're gonna offer him the support he needs in any kind of way. And I know that it'll be a big, tremendous help for him, and it'll keep him on the right path. Thank y'all.
Thank you for being there. All right, your case this morning has been assigned to Ms. Ledoux. Would you answer her questions?
Derrick, all of us know you can't change what you did to bring you to this point. But let me tell you what I'm concerned about, and I'd like for you to respond to is, tell me why you have 63 write-ups. Now, I know it's tough coming in, you came in at a young age, 20-something years old. I expect some at a young age in the beginning. Your last write-up was in 2021, but what I'm seeing, and it was difficult to count, but it looks like around 21 number one rule violation. Tell me what those were for.
Country,
As in,
rules.
okay. So was that your last one in 2021? That was a phone. Okay. I also see you have a couple of 21s. That's the kind of stuff that concerns me, because I want to see you follow the rules within the confines, so I know you can follow them outside. So, have you started getting your head together since 2021? And tell me why you think that you're done with that kind of behavior.
I have a different outlook. Before that, I had a life sentence, and I was 20 years old when I come to jail, so I feel like I didn't have a chance. And then I was 20 years old coming to a violent environment, which is Angola. At that time, those time of years. So a lot of the drug charges I have, I wasn't doing a lot of the charges. I wasn't doing those. I had to sell drugs to really support my habit, to take care of myself, put food in my life, different things like that. But over the years, after I ended up giving my time back, I made a change because I had something to look forward to.
Had some hope. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So you did finish Thinking for a Change this year? Did that help? Is that one of the better programs, you think?
Yeah, because it gave me a chance to do a lot of things, for a lot of different things, and look at things in a lot of different scenarios, look at a lot of different.
So what were your plans, when you leave eventually? What are your plans?
I have a job set up. My best friend got his own landscape construction company. That's why I'm gonna be working at. I'm staying with my sister.
In Caddo Parish? So you're currently a medium custody, right? I don't have any other questions. Mr. Brent, you have a question?
The last thing we want to do is kill your hope. Looks like you still got a pretty good problem with drugs. I would really love to see some inpatient DOC treatment, which, I will recommend after we vote, but, I mean, would, you be receptive to inpatient treatment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further. You in the other room, you never shot your gun at all, right? Okay, okay, thanks.
Let me ask one more question. Did you know the grandson of the victim?
I didn't really know him until later on. I had just come home from jail, and he was introduced to me. That's how I ended up meeting him. I never did know him. I had just met him a few days prior.
But the word was on the street, grandfather had some money.
Right.
Mr. Duncan, I really want to give you a chance today. It's that conduct that really, that bothers me, okay? You're a young man. I'm gonna deny parole today, but I guarantee you, you come before me again and you don't have any write-ups, you will be us, okay? Mr. Freeman.
The write-ups are very scary. I know it is tough in prison. Some of it was just for young person or youth also. My vote today is to deny, but I would recommend that we try to get him some inpatient treatment before his next hearing.
Okay, and, Mr. Duncan, I know you're nervous today, but you did a good job. You really did. I agree with my colleagues and with what the ward said. You think you need a little bit more help with your substance abuse issue. You probably think you have it, but you have tools in your toolbox to encourage it. So my vote today is also to deny. We're gonna recommend some inpatient intensive substance abuse treatment so that you're really ready to see. Yeah, I think you'll have the, you'll have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Appear before us. Yeah. Good luck to you.
You're
Stay
on the
right
right
up
track.
front.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
when you get in the program, sit on the front row. Good luck.
All right, but
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Shawn Cole. Years in 566 years.
Hey, you want to speak up if you can, so we can get you on the record. We are recording. Okay, so, Mr. Cole, you see who we are. We are your parole panel today. I'm gonna read some identifying information into the record. I'm gonna ask you to verify it for us. And then I want you to take a minute to tell us what got you here, and why do you think we ought to consider early release for you? So just not yet. I'll tell you when we do that. We'll hear from the warden. We have also a representative from the DA's office who's going to speak, and he's going to close it out for us at the end before we vote. So, Mr. Cole, you are classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving 30 years. You were sentenced in Jefferson Parish in March of 2010 for a manslaughter conviction. You have a parole eligibility date early in next year on January 10th. And you have a good time release date in July 15, 2029. Does all that sound right to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you take a minute and tell us what led you to prison and why should we consider early release?
I made a mistake by getting on drugs. And ruined my life. I come from a good family. I wasn't raised that way. Drugs done. And it caused me to do things that every law that I ever wrote was to feed that addiction. And then one day I took something from someone I couldn't be replaced. I'm sorry for taking the man's life. And I understand the words can't bring back his life or take away the pain that it caused. I've learned a lot over the last 20 years. I've changed my life all the way around. Beginning with faith and through all the programs that I've learned from here. I have a lot of family and support waiting on me when I come home. And I have all the resources and knowledge to be a productive citizen whenever I return to society. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've changed. And I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm not the person that I come in here. I've been clean for over 18 years. It was a struggle at first, and I understand that I'll have that on all my life. And I got to stay committed to the way I've been for the last 18 years, clean. I know I have to stay away from people, places, and those things. That cost me everything. That was the trouble with my life. I've never gotten in trouble before that.
All right, your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman. Would you answer the questions he has?
Okay, Cole.
Before we get the order first, I'm sorry.
Keep forgetting.
I'm sorry.
I'm easy to forget, it's all right. Shawn he's done a lot of good things. I think he's headed in the right direction. Taking some very good classes. He's currently enrolled in our victim impact program and our pre-release program. Obviously, I recommend he complete both. And we had an extensive conversation the other day in our interview, and he spoke on it. He had a serious substance abuse problem. So he has taken substance abuse classes here, but I think he's a good candidate for some long-term substance abuse program. He had a very serious problem, very bad problem. It's been a long time, but he hadn't been out in the streets to have that kind of pressure. So I won't see him fall back. So that'd be my recommendation.
Okay, how long have you actually served on this charge?
Since January 10th, 2005.
Okay, so approximately 20 years, a little bit over 20 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this was this lady's grandfather?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so y'all had planned on robbing him to get more drugs? What was it for?
No, sir. It was a dispute over money.
Right.
And it went from verbal to physical. So I had to tell him, one that, and it went too far.
Okay. Yeah, let me see that. So anyway, he had loaned her money before, and then according to the rest report, y'all trying to go back to, what was it, Virginia? West Virginia?
I have no clue if it was loaning her money. He did help her out with money as far as like for food or a motel room or something, but as far as I was loaning her money, I don't know anything about that.
How did Mr. Ramirez die? There's two stories. One says that she suffocated, and one says you choked.
I come up behind him joking.
I'm glad that you're admitting that, coming up with the truth. That's a big step forward right there. So after the killing, I mean, it's obvious y'all took some checks and cashed a couple checks, one for $1,500, one for $2,000. Y'all went to West Virginia, so y'all drove all the way down there with the corpse in the car, correct? And then when you got to West Virginia, what did you do with the car?
Buried him in the mountains.
And how was he found? Do you know?
That I don't know.
Okay. I will say that your family did contact us. They are in favor of your release. The sheriff and the attorney general and the judge are opposed. The victim is opposed. Tell me about your arrest record. I mean, I see you got 7 violent crimes since 1999. When did you start drugs?
You sure you have the right record?
Shawn Cole. That's your rap sheet. So how many convictions do you have? Other convictions?
One.
This is your only conviction?
I have this one, and I have one for criminal damage greater than $500.
I see January 1999, West Virginia State Police
Battery, yeah, okay, I didn't think I was crazy.
2002.
Right,
West
yeah,
Virginia.
battery in West Virginia, 1999, breaking and entering 2002, domestic battery, 2003, crimes against property. Yeah, another battery, so, yeah, you got a very violent history in the past. Why'd you lie to them?
I didn't, I don't remember.
Okay, so you don't remember those charges?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, we'll move on.
I was out there on.
You was that messed up that you didn't.
Like I said, if you have it in front of you live, I didn't remember, I didn't.
And you've only had 5 disciplinary reports. Your last one's in 15. It was for contraband. What kind of contraband you had in 15?
Something I was holding for someone else that I didn't know.
What were you holding?
It was supposed to be tobacco, but it ended up being mojo.
Okay. You have a medium custody, low risk, and you do have several classes you need to complete. I have no further questions.
Was this a plea agreement? What were you initially charged with?
First degree.
So, the family agreed to a 30-year sentence. And you've served 19, 20. Where is your co-defendant?
I don't know, I'm not in contact with her.
Okay, you don't know if she was sentenced?
Yeah, she done 12.
12 and a half. Okay, I didn't know if she got some time for it. That's all.
Where's your family?
All of West Virginia.
They know you were coming here today?
Yes.
Are they on Zoom? Or on YouTube?
No, they wrote letters to, they weren't, I wasn't gonna ask them to take off work prices.
Right. So, are you seen on a regular basis by mental health?
Yes, ma'am.
You take meds?
Yes,
I don't have any other questions. We'd like to hear from the DA at this point.
It's on wheel. Oh, it's on wall. Didn't know if they on it's gonna be Random Hire Assistant DA Jefferson Paris. Good morning. We're opposed to Mr. Cole's request for parole this time. I spoke with the son of the victim the other day, and the family very strongly opposed to his request for parole. A big reason is what Mr. Freeman brought up about, oh, I'm sorry, I think it's a big brought up about the plea agreement. He
was charged with first degree. They agreed to a 30-year sentence, and they would like for him to serve that 30-year sentence. So they are opposed to him getting out today. I noted, as Mr. Freeman did, about the violence in his past. You know, there was, I believe, 6 batteries, domestic abuse, and then the crimes against the property. Then the last one was this murder that he committed. That is concerning to me. The judge in this, the judge in that division today is strongly opposed. She said the defendant is a violent offender who kidnapped and murdered his co-defendant girlfriend's elderly grandfather from Louisiana and transported the victim from Jefferson Parish to West Virginia. The victim was buried in a shallow grave. The crime was premeditated. The defendant is a danger to the public and should not be paroled. Looking at what he's done as he's been incarcerated, I found that the programming is pretty limited. He's had men's work, which I didn't know what that was until speaking with the warden earlier, and that sounds like it's a very good program. That I think teachers seem to be teaching a lot of people a lot of good things. So I'm glad to see he completed that. I'm glad to learn what that was. Thanks. Nurturing parent, anger management, living in balance 1 and 2, and inside out dad. You know, he's still enrolled in the pre-release course. I agree with what the warden said, and that's one of the things I had in my comments, and I thought he needed a long-term substance abuse program before he's considered for release. You know, and I don't know if they have AA programs here. I would assume that they do. Most prisons have AA programs, and I don't see that there was participation in that, which I think is highly important for someone in his position. So, and I did note that he had agreed, I think it was in June of this year, to participate in Blue Walters program, but that hasn't been accomplished yet. So for those reasons, in the strong victim opposition, particularly, we're opposed to it.
Sir, thank you. Mr. Cole, I think that the panel is prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Cole, you know, looking at everything, your criminal history, your prior criminal history was very violent. It's very alarming. This was a result of a plea bargain. Y'all had kind of passed notes back to each other, so I think it was premeditated also. And you have law enforcement and victim. My vote is to deny.
Ms. Ledoux?
My vote is to deny. I concur with my colleague. I think that there's a need for one more time.
Mr. Cole, I do agree based on your criminal history, the plea agreement that you agreed to, and the victim's family agreed to, plus the opposition that we've told you about. So today, your application for your parole's been denied. Good luck to you. Good afternoon. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC.
My name is Paul Lee.
DOC number 104-569.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lee, you see our names, we are your parole panel. I'm serving as chairman today. I'm gonna read some information into the record, after which I want you to confirm it. And, then I want you to take a minute and tell us why you think we ought to consider a no release for you. We'll hear from your warden. We have, representative of the DA's office in Jefferson Parish is here who wants to speak. And then we'll start, I'll take the lead on the interview because in case it's been assigned. You ready? So, let's see, Mr. Lee. You're classified as a 6th felony offender. You are currently serving as a habitual offender, a 10-year sentence for simple robbery. Your parole eligibility date is January 15, 2025. The earlier had it listed in 23, but there's been an adjustment. Were you aware of this?
Yes, ma'am.
You have an adjusted good time date, which is July 22nd of 2027. Does that sound right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so take a minute. Tell us what led you to prison and being a 6th offender, and why you think we should consider you for early release.
What led me to be a 6th offender is a substance abuse problem that I've had ongoing, off and on my whole life. Reason, I want to go home early, and I think I should is, ever since I've been in this town, I have, instead of just sitting in jail, I really worked on taking every opportunity to take every class and program to try to understand my problem, what makes me do the things that I've done. I've even went as far as to, if I was to be granted parole, I would be, instead of going home, I'll be going into another treatment program in New Orleans. It's a non-bond in-house program. Because I feel like I don't just want to go straight out there into the world. I want to do take a transition to get back to society. And this particular crime has changed me completely. In every other crime I've committed, you know, you feel bad about it, but this was a crime that I thought about every day, thought about the victim in the crime every day. And I know that it's twice as bad for as hurt as it was for me. I would never wish that on anybody, and I never wanted to commit a crime like that again.
What's the name of the place in New Orleans?
Responsibility house, I've already been evaluated and they have a bed waiting on them. I've already been accepted.
Right, well, thank you for, those remarks. What can you tell us about?
Well, Mr. Rossi, you know, Charles, he's done some good things. He's taken some classes. He currently enrolled in our victim impact program and also pre-release. So obviously I recommend he completes both of those things, and he does some homework and has one of my recommendations would have been some long-term substance abuse programming, because that's obviously a bad problem of his. I do make note that the years he's been locked up, he hasn't had a write-up, which is commendable. Rule infractions, so that's, you know, we'll see that a lot. But you know, again, he's done some good things, but he needs to complete the classes that he's enrolled in right now. I think he still needs some help with his substance abuse.
We have, now, so you were sentenced to 10 years. That was part of the plea agreement?
Yes.
So you, it was the Walgreens in Marrero on the Dollar Tree. And where was home for you? Is that Marrero?
I was living in Marrero then. This one.
Whenever you are released, because you have a good time today coming up, where are you gonna go?
Well, I'll be living in Avondale, which is just right down the street from there. But for the first 9 months, if I was given parole, I'd be living here. And then I'm not sure. I mean, I'll come out and say this. I'm engaged to be married, but my fiance and her family, they drink. And that's why I really don't know if that's what would be the best for me. this place here, they'll eventually get me found a job as a residence. And I feel like I would do better than to do this and be in this program than to go back and connect back with her family right now, because I don't want to go back to what I was in. I was raised in a family that drink, and then now I'm engaged to a woman whose whole family drinks. And they don't seem to understand that it's not the same for me as it is for them. They can drink on the weekends or whatever, and then they're good, but it doesn't work for an alcoholic like that. And so
So your addiction is just alcohol?
mostly, I've done drugs, but alcohol is that's my one thing where I lose control.
So you went into these places of business for money for alcohol?
I don't know. I didn't even use the money for anything. I was working full time. I was mad at her. We had an argument, and I don't know what. It's not, I mean,
There was some indication I read somewhere in the record, it was tobacco, crack cocaine. I put that by the Dollar Tree. By the Dollar Tree, it seemed like somewhere the note said that's what the purpose was, tobacco, crack. You don't remember that?
I don't remember.
They
may have gotten that from a witness, because I was under the influence of alcohol that day that it happened.
When did you start drinking? At what age?
Probably 16 or 17.
How old are you now?
16.
And how long you been in jail?
This time 6.5 years.
What's the longest you've ever been in jail?
This is good.
This is it. So let's talk about your priors. Let's see, you have it from Florida, right? 1983, simple burglary. You had a 6-year sentence. What did you do any time?
Yes, ma'am. I did 4 years, I guess.
Okay. And then 1994, again, Polk County, Florida, theft over 20,000. What time did you get on that?
I got probation about it. I think 2.5 years, I believe.
Probation.
I started out with probation, but I got it.
So you got to go. 1997 burglary of an uninhabited dwelling.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got twice, 2 counts, right? You got 4 years, 4 months, and then 2012, fleeing from the police, you got a 4-year sentence for that. And then now this in Jefferson. How'd you end up in Jefferson Parish?
When I got, came back from Florida to Louisiana, originally from here, my brother's best friend's mother is who I'm with. I met her, and I was living in St. Martinville with my brother, and me and her started dating, and I moved to New Orleans with her, because that's where she's from.
Okay, so I know, let's see, you've done Living in Balance 1, you've started, have you finished Living in Balance 2?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you finished, it looks like you finished that. You've done Cage Your Rage and Insight About That. I noticed, Warden, in the record, you mentioned no write-ups, and I saw that, but is there an incident report in 18, something about tampering with a razor? What was that about? Is that?
I was on the parish level, it happened.
Oh, it happened in the parish. Okay. There is opposition. We'll hear from the DA's office in just a moment, but the Attorney General's office is opposed because of your habitual offender status and your I'm going to just sit back and listen to my colleagues. Any questions?
What is your health problems? See, you've been to the doctor a lot.
I had a heart attack in, I think November 21. I had like 60% blockage, and I've still got, I had 2 procedures done on heart, but I still got atrial fibrillation. So I'm on anti-stroke medicine and 2 kinds of heart medicine.
That don't mix well with alcohol.
No, I can never go back to drinking at all. They don't tell me health-wise that never works.
Okay.
No questions. All right. We'd like to hear from the DA's office.
Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. I have an opposition today, really for the same things that the warden expressed. What I saw was, he needs some long-term substance abuse training, complete the pre-release and the victim impact courses. I had some concern about the disciplinary write-up, whatever it was that you saw in 2018, so thanks for having that cleared up. And I also noted that he had a 35-year history of theft offenses. So I was concerned, I didn't really see much about programming in the record that would help him when he gets out to get a job, so he doesn't return to steal. And one thing I just found out, I just inquired about it, I do see that he completed an auto tech, I think it is, and an ASEA car mechanic certification. So that that makes me feel a little bit better about that. But I do believe he needs to complete those courses that the warden had recommended of him. And I think if he is granted, I think he needs to be required to do AA. As this board has heard me say a number of times, I've got a friend who has over 30, well, no, shoot, over 40 something years. He's been sober and he goes to AA 2-3 times a week. To this day, he still doesn't do this day. And I think that's an important program. You know, it's helped him out tremendously. He helps a lot of people out tremendously with that program. So I think that's an important thing for you to do. Thanks.
All right, Mr. Lee, let me tell you my concerns. I agree with everything the warden said. I agree with everything the DA said, and listening to you, I think you've done it. I really do. I think your age has something to do with it. Obviously, your health does, because you know what'll happen. I am concerned about what you said about, the fiance and everybody in the family drinks, because, South Louisiana, everybody. And somehow you've got to learn to tolerate it without drinking. And you got to figure that out. And you said something that struck me when you said all of our family just doesn't understand. Well, that ain't gonna work. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you.
What I meant was they don't understand. They think that I can't explain to them how they're alcoholics, but they don't see themselves as alcoholics. We drink, we still work. I was working a full-time job when I was drinking. It's a sickness, and they don't see it as a sickness. But that's what I liked about this program that I was talking about, because in the 9 months of the program, they bring a family member in. You start to have, and I felt like that would really be a good thing. I mean, if this program, I wouldn't mind if it even became, how are you gonna say? I would have to do this, you know what I'm saying, or it would violate my parole, make it a stipulation of my parole. And but since I don't have a residence, because she's not even giving me an address, because she want me to do the program. This here would help me get employment, place to live, and drug treatment and mental health treatment. So it's in Gretna, by the way. I didn't get a chance to tell.
Okay, so I'm ready to go. When I looked at your record, you were an absolute no. And that's because of the sex offender status, the habitual offender status. But after speaking with you, I have hope for you. So I would vote to grant your parole after you finish the programs mentioned by the warden, victim impact, and pre-release. And then as a requirement, you are to release to this responsibility house and complete that whole program. And then you have to do whatever they tell you or whatever they recommend that you do. And then once you're finally released from that, you are to maintain full-time employment. You're to perform community service work. How you work that out with your parole officer, because I want you involved in AA. It could be some of the service like Mr. Meyer spoke about his friend, where you help others in that program. But you need to be engaged for the rest of your life.
Yes.
That's my vote. I just, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, I'm like her. I mean, I'm from probation and parole. When I saw 6 offender, I was like, I'm still gonna catch it from my colleagues. Because I'm also gonna give you a shot, but I think you're tired. I think you had enough, but this is it, man. This is it for you. I'm telling you. Any little felony offense, I don't think you're gonna get no 10 years out of it anymore. So, do what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna tell you, I was gonna put you inpatient here with DOC, but I see what you're saying. You're not gonna have a place to live, and I want you to find a place to live. Because if it doesn't work out with her family, and if she doesn't accept the fact that you're not gonna be able to be around alcohol all the time, then it's not gonna work. So, that's my vote today.
So I'm looking at your time stuff, okay, so if you have a parole eligibility date of February 2025, and you do that for 9 months, then you're knocking on 2026 door. And that's gonna give you only 7 months before your good time release. And my question to myself is, will sending him to this program make him less of a public safety risk? I don't know this program though. I'm not comfortable. Yeah, I don't know this program, but I believe that 9 months in a facility like that with a little bit of freedom, but lots of oversight might be the best thing for you to slowly reintegrate you into society. So I will go along with my colleagues and vote to grant with the stipulation that upon release, you enter that program and complete it. And if it's not completed, you come back to the custody of DOC.
I want you going straight to that program. I don't want you making those stops in between. You go straight there.
I don't think John remains. Yeah, what you gotta do, good luck.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Is that how you say it? Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name. Please.
Rich, Sandy, 441321.
I'm waiting for the record to come up there. It's $28 for gas. You have your mother and your grandmother. Both who want to speak on your behalf, we'll ask them to do so at the appropriate time. I'm first going to read some information into the record. I'm going to ask you to confirm it. We're going to ask the warden for his input. We'll hear from your family. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman, so he's going to take the lead on the parole review. Before we do all that, after you confirm the record, I want you to tell us why you think we should vote favorable. We got you in prison, and why should we consider you for opening? All right. So you are classified as a second felony offender. You currently serving a 25-year sentence. You were sentenced in Calcasieu Parish, March of 2006. Forcible rape conviction. Your parole eligibility is December 14th, 2024. You don't earn good time, so your full term date is September 15, 2028. So that sound right? Yes, ma'am. All right, take a minute and tell us why do you think we ought to bring your business?
I'm not the same person that I was at the time when I committed the crime. Perception is way different than it was before. And I worked hard, and when I got in, I said, man, if God is real, he can only want to change it. So when I had the encounter with the Lord, I worked hard on changing everything about me. And my heart is different. I have a heart for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm carrying myself the way I used to. Think the way I used to. You know, I care for people now, and I know I was wrong. And I take full responsibility. And being a changed person, that should count for something. Doing my best to make sure I don't want to be the same man that I was when I came in. So I made all the changes that I could positive in the Lord, and that's what I've done. I got my associate's degree, I got my theology. I even got an ordained minister for a life of be a minister. I try to get in everything that I need to get better myself, to be a better person, to go out there to be a better man.
What can you tell us about Mr. Richard?
He's done some good things. I want to say he's completed all 4 phases of risk management, sex offender programs, which is very good. Living in balance, substance abuse programs, nurturing fathers. A lot of good classes. He has an associate's degree in theology. He's obtained his GED. Right now, he's currently enrolled in boys and men programs. Victim impact, and preparing for success on the outside, and as well as a pre-release program. He still haven't completed that, so naturally the recommendations to complete all of those things, no matter the board's decision. And I do note that he has not had a disciplinary infraction since 2015. He's on the right track. He's doing some good things. He's got a little bit of work left to do.
So we'd like to hear from your family. I'll let you ladies decide who wants to speak to us first. You're Barbara Freeman?
Yes,
ma'am. Tell us. What would you like us to know?
Well, one thing I would like y'all to know is Carl Richard is not the same Carl Richard. When Lee calls me on the phone, everything is about the Lord, and Mama did, I did. He even the other day he made a rap song, but it's about the Lord. And I was laughing, and it sounds so good. It don't seem like it's the same individual, and everything he talks about is about helping people. Mama, whenever I get home, I want to help my brothers. He wanted his own church. And that's the new Carl that I am so proud of, because he is doing everything in his power to be a better man. And I'm real proud of him, and I know the Lord is, because for Carl to be an ordained preacher, I think that's the most wonderful thing that can ever happen to anybody.
All right, thank you. And then we have Miss Louis McKeaver.
I'm your granddaughter, I'm in Stephen friend. And, I came to visit him pretty often since he was in here. And, he was always a good child for me. And, I appreciate y'all having being taken care of well over here. And I thank y'all.
Thanks for being here. Mr. Richard, your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman. Would you answer his questions?
Okay, Mr. Richard, how old are you?
52.
And you have an educational level, you have some college, is what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, how many years have you served on this charge?
Going on 22 years now.
Going on 23. Okay. Mr., we hadn't talked much about the charge, but tell us what happened. You picked this girl up walking down the road? What was the deal?
So she saw somebody at me and smiled at me and then situation happened.
Okay. Well, did you know she was, mentally disabled?
No, sir. I was drinking a lot. I was drinking here and I used to smoke a lot of weed. I used to do that a lot. I was strung out on that. So I couldn't.
Okay, so you couldn't tell she was 14 years old either?
No, sir.
Okay. And, do you know that she ended up pregnant?
I found out after I got in hospital.
All right. I look at the comments and they severe. Judge Ritchie said, you're lucky you didn't get life. Assistant District Attorney Hope Buford of Calcasieu, she checked the opposition blank due to the violent nature of this case, impregnating a mentally disabled juvenile, the danger he presents to our parish and lack of housing and employment. Now that's key. Where are you gonna live? Has it been approved?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not around probation parole that's approved your residence.
Okay.
Did probation and parole approve your residence?
Yes, sir. I think they did.
Do y'all know? Does he have an approved residence plan? You don't live by no schools, daycares?
No, sir.
Okay, because have they come to your house?
No, they saw the paper in the mail for me to fill out.
Right, okay, but so they never have been to your house?
Not yet.
And there's no children in that house?
I have a son that lives with me, but he's a man.
Yeah, right, you don't have any children, I'm talking about under 18. Okay. Nick Fontenot is also opposed, that's the sheriff. Captain Kirkman is opposed. And your family, Barbara Freeman, your mother is unopposed. Victim was unable to be contacted, unable to be located. Okay. Okay, I also see where you had an involuntary manslaughter charge. What was that about?
That was a text with me and one of my friends playing with a gun and a gun off and a killer.
And then after that, I mean, you had a gun then, and then in 93, July, you had a gun again, because you were arrested for carrying of a weapon, which was a misdemeanor, but you still had a gun. Another unlawful carrying, aggravated assault, illegal carrying a weapon. You like to carry a gun, huh? What would you contraband into a penal institution? What was that about?
That was some gin, a bottle of gin.
Bottle of gin. Okay. I looked at your static 99. It's a low risk. Tell me what you learned from sex offender treatment.
I learned that that's not how you're supposed to carry yourself. And that you need to turn away from being that type of approach. Whatever you avoid all stuff that is gonna lead you to act crazy. Now, program to be like this.
Did you do, drugs and alcohol when you were younger?
Yes, sir.
What kind of drugs were you on?
Just weed, drink, that's it. Not much.
Okay. I looked at your status 99, you are a low risk. What do you plan to work if you get out?
I have I was gonna give me open me a business, cause my daddy died, and there was some money on the CD and being in the bank since 2014. So with that, I was gonna open a little business, cause I'm not a cook and all that. I'm gonna go get my, degree of stuff in culinary arts, and open a little business of, cooking.
All right, that's, all the questions I have, Ms. Renata.
Tomorrow is your birthday, isn't it? No?
Birthday was such.
Oh, in September. September. I was looking at the wrong good ones. Yeah. So you're 52.
That's right.
52-year-old man. You were 33 at the time of commission of the crime.
It's 30.
30? Okay. You have 6 children.
That's right.
Where are the 6 children?
My daughter, she was, June, my oldest son. He stayed upstate with his wife. My other son, he and Bill Black, up CJ, and then, Ben DD, he's out there too. And then, Tyrus is up, and Cardez is in Atlanta.
And none of them are minors.
No,
No.
All right, I think I don't see any other questions, so I think we're prepared to vote, Mr. Quincy.
Mr. Richard, this is just one of those cases. It's a very heinous case. It's a terrible crime. You have strong law enforcement opposition. My vote today is to deny.
My vote is also to deny, the nature of the crime in particular is, egregious.
And I do agree with my colleagues that based on the opposition, the age of the victim, the claim of crime, but today is to deny. It was a mistake. Mr. Nelson, would you introduce yourself, tell us your name and business?
Good afternoon. My name is Lawrence Nelson. 74683.
We are your parole panel today on Southern Michigan. I'm going to read some identifying information, ask you to confirm it. We'll hear from the warden, and you have, the reason I asked your brother's name, George Sarapier, is on Zoom. He wants to speak on your behalf. You have your son Clarence and your cousin James also who want to speak. We'll ask for their comments. Your case has been assigned to Mrs. Perdue, so she'll take the lead on the interview with her own meeting question. Mr. Nelson, let's see, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 20-year sentence. You were sentenced in Orleans in September 2010 for forcible rape. Your parole eligibility is April 13, 2025. You don't earn good time, so your full term date is April 13, 2028. Does that sound right? Okay. So take a minute and tell us, how did you land in jail? What led you here? And why do you think we ought to grant you an early release?
I would like to, first of all, thank God and thank y'all for this opportunity to be here this morning.
I want you to speak up a little bit because I want your family to be able to hear you.
So, thank y'all. I'd like to thank y'all this evening, and thank y'all for this opportunity to be here. For this possible chance to receive my freedom. I was young and I committed a crime of forcible rape, and I am truly so I'm removed from my charge, from my action, and and everyone that I was affected by my action. I could take it back with Lord knows. No, I'm not that person. I'll tell you. The relationship with God that I didn't have.
Or can you tell us about Mr. Nelson?
Mr. Nelson, Lawrence has a very good conduct history. He's only had 2 write-ups since been incarcerated and none since 2011. So commend him for that. He's a Strive member in our honor program here. He's taken the sex offender treatment programming and some other good classes. But my recommendation is he's currently enrolled in our pre-release program, so naturally I won't complete that, but he has not had victim impact. And I think that's very important for him to really realize the impact he had on victims of this crime. And I think he could use anger management as well, just, because you don't do something like this without having anger. So everything we can give him to help him succeed, we want to try to do it. So those are my recommendations.
All right, we're going to hear from the folks who want to speak on your behalf. First, we'd like to hear from your son, Clarence.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Well, I would say over the years of talking to my father over the phone, I would say he's a changed man. He's been very remorseful to what happened in the past. And he's become a very God-fearing man more and more over the years. He's learned to walk the path of Allah, which, again, it kind of deters you from violent acts and kind of aggressive acts in the future. He's truly walking in the grace of God now. And over the years, he has missed a lot. And I believe he deserves a chance to, prove him that he's changed on the outside. Every conversation I have with him, he just wants to get out and work, be with his family, show how much of a, provider he was and could have been over these years. And honestly, he missed the chance to the final moments with his own mother, and missed the chance to see her finally laid to rest. I believe that's something he should be able to grieve on the outside, and just prove how much he has changed over the years.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. We appreciate your remarks. Can we hear from Mr. George Sarafaru?
He's having trouble logging in.
All right, well, while he's trying to log in, how about James Lucas?
Good evening, everyone at the board. My name is James Lucas. I am first cousins with Lawrence Nelson. His mom and my mom were sisters. We come from a large family, and we wasn't raised as cousins. We were all raised as brothers and sisters. So, if you've seen him, you've seen us, and there's a lot of us. So, I had never known Lawrence. We call him Kojak. I never known Lawrence to have a mean streak in his body. I never known him to be violent. He was always he was the Martin Luther King of the cousins. He turned the cheek every time. And that's what we loved about Lawrence, I'm sorry. Again, he missed a lot. The last time I was with Lawrence is when he and I took a trip cross country. This is a year after Katrina passed. We moved his mother, my Aunt Lorraine, we moved her from Oregon back to the south of Texas. And she was there shortly after that trip. I deployed to Afghanistan. So that was my last time having interactions with my cousin in the physical, and seeing my aunt alive. I did come back from Afghanistan, and that's when I heard of he was arrested. So got with some attorneys, came down, trying to see what was going on, but by then he had already received his time. Since then, I have moved to Florida. I have started my own company. I'm the CEO of Lucas Transportation of Clearwater, Florida. If you guys grant parole, he will have employment and a place to stay with a car. I have a car. I have everything for him. If you guys would grant interstate, if you guys would grant interstate parole where he could leave the state of Louisiana, I would have him here in Florida, and I hold a top secret clearance with the United States government. So I live by the law. I don't play no games, and my business will not be at jeopardy. I will make sure he has housing, we call it billet. Make sure he have ability, transportation, and keep money in his pocket. And he also would be a 1040 employee of mine. So that's what I'd like to bring to the board. Again, it's all up in you guys' hands, and we pray that the outcome be parole.
Hey, thanks for joining us. So George, would you be able to finish?
You have to reach. What's going on with?
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. But he did indicate he's supportive. So, Ms. Ledoux, would you answer, Mr. Nelson's questions?
I want to make sure that I read correctly. You were 33 at the time of the crime? Okay. And you had 2 children. Were you married at that time?
I believe I was still married. We may have been separated.
And the victim was 7.
We towards my
And how well did you know the victim in the crime?
mother, he was my ex-wife, my wife at the time, cousin.
Okay, so it wasn't your biological
Family.
family. From the time of the commission of the crime until it was reported, how many years was that?
6, 7.
How old are you now?
So it's
Was your other child a girl? Did you have any part in raising your daughter?
the last time I seen my daughter was right before the training.
What is your relationship with, say you haven't had any contact with your daughter?
I have talked. We have emailed each other, and I just recently sent her a happy birthday email for her birthday was October the 1st. So, I haven't spoken with her because I haven't had any money to call, but we do talk.
Really don't have. I've read the file completely, and it's a large file, and I've seen it was very confusing to me that your faith journey has been, so you were involved in the Jewish community at one point, and then you went to Novitz, New Orleans Baptist Theological. You had some certificates.
So I started with New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, and then I moved to the Messianic Jewish.
And that's where you currently
Yes, ma'am.
are involved in as Messianic Jews.
Yes.
Well, I commend you, you have your welding certificate as well.
No,
Oh, I did, sorry. So what have you done trade-wise? Have you had any other trade?
I have received my GED, and I went on 2 years ago. I just graduated from Wiley College.
Business administration.
Yes, ma'am. Focus on management.
Okay. So what was your job before you came to prison?
After arriving back in New Orleans with my mother, I obtained a cooking job at Popeyes, and it was something until I was able to get paperwork in order to possibly go and work with one of my children.
All right. I'm just curious about this, and I don't have any other questions.
I have one question.
All right, I don't see any other questions, so, I think these again, the very best, Ms. Ledoux.
Mr. Nelson, the opposition by law enforcement has been noted in your record. I am concerned about the age of the victim at the time of the offense, and you've served about 14 years of your 20?
No, I'm 17.
17. My math was really bad doing this case. 17 years. I think you have some programming that you need to complete, and you'll be good to go, but my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Freeman.
I concur.
All right, I do agree with my colleagues. I want you to know that, we hear from the victim. And this was a, obvious traumatic experience, but she's a Christian and she says she's forgiven. But she never forgets. But she didn't. I agree with my colleagues, for the strong opposition that's been expressed. My vote today is to. We wish you well, sir. Good luck to you. Thanks. We're gonna adjourn, that concludes our proceedings, so we'll adjourn at 1:02.
Sir.